Let's see here. And our guest Rich is live with us. What's up, brother?
Hey Perry, how are you?
I'm gonna take off my glasses right now until you start showing me some eye candy. Oh, I
Yeah,
gotta put
man,
on my
yeah.
headset, dude.
Oh man, I've been thinking about what to say today. I got a lot of stuff to talk about, Perry, and I need your help. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But how's everything going?
Oh, it's going good. You know what? I have to admit, I didn't have my headset on, so I went live and I didn't even know. Yeah, I feel really silly right now. Anyway, how are you doing, brother? So you said I missed what you just said. I apologize. I
Oh
just want
no,
to tell everybody.
I was
I
just
just
saying
wanted to
that.
welcome you first of all. Just second, real quick, Rich. Everybody, welcome Rich first of all to the channel. This is Rich, aka Jackson's Reef, and this is our part two. And you know, we talk about these live streams, y'all, and like kind of like what this has brought on in terms of open dialogue and sort of. There we go. And sort of, just picking each other's brains, right? And seeing, how you're doing your thing, how I'm doing my thing, and just in general, just learning about like other stuff too. And it's so interesting because Rich and I've, we've been talking a little bit offline too, here and
Yeah.
there. And so, welcome back, brother. Part two, and I'm stoked to be with you live, man. As we're getting close to the holidays, just want to mention that to everybody. Hope everybody has a great one out there. And without further ado, welcome, Rich. What's going on with you, and what's going on with the Reef, brother?
Uh, well, the reef stuff, lots of little things. So, I the tank is recovering from that black pathogen or boring algae or whatever it may be. So it's starting to improve a lot. The vivid confettis that I showed that were black last time, they're lightening up, and I'm seeing new growth because they didn't grow probably for like almost 2 months when they got that kind of whatever they were infected by there. So they're lightening up. The polyp extension at night is crazy. They're fuzzy and they're growing. And then I see some improvements on the pink lemonade pieces too. I ended up fragging the large colony, and the smaller frags are lightening up, better polyp extension and new growth. So it looks like that Cipro treatment is working or worked or whatever. It's just it's got to grow out clean now. So you know,
Gotcha, brother.
good
Well,
with that so
and
far.
for the record, in case anybody was wondering, Rich's prefacing is there's some sort of localized, as far as we know right now, but it might not necessarily be localized, possibly a pathogen, possibly a virus of some sort. Maybe it's fungal. We don't really know. We've kind of gotten into it a little bit. He's decided to utilize a Cipro treatment and
Yeah.
as a broadcast, I believe, right?
Yeah, so broadcast. So I did one 500 milligram pill per 100 gallons, and I did
Mhm.
5 days of that every other day. So my particular systems are 300 gallons each. I did both systems, so it was 3 pills every other night for 5 days. Um, I didn't see any negative effects really. I mean, I had a little bit of cyano in a frag tank, and it kind of melted the cyano the way a slime remover would, as expected. And then following the treatment, I did kind of like heavy probiotics. I did Prodibio. I did had some of that Aquaphor stuff, the ProBioS. I had Niosbiotic, which Niosbiotic is not an ocean bacteria from what I'm told, but whatever. I was just dumping the kitchen sink in there. Yeah, it's
Okay.
and but I'll tell you, it brings me to another point. So part of the protocol for antibiotic treatment, it recommends a product called Brightwell Restore. Now, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, it's another amino. So I follow this
Mhm.
protocol. You dose it the last couple days of the antibiotic treatment. It's this stuff right here. Okay.
Yeah, I've used it before. I think at one point it was a part of their. They actually used to have a Zeovit line many years ago, and they had a whole bottle set, and I think Restore was one of the bottles that was a part of their. How do you want to put it? Their entourage of the KZ sort of knockoff system. So I'm not sure if you were familiar with that back then in the day, but they did. They had the stones and everything.
Yeah.
They had the carbon source, bacteria source, of course, being the Microbacter 7, and the Restore. I don't recall using it a whole lot, but just just putting your mind around what it means. It to me, it just means it's sort of like a rebiotic, if you will, right? Like it's a way of
Well,
re-inoculating the system, if you will, like refreshing it.
what happens is the recommendation is based off an in-tank KFC, where it's like erythromycin, amoxicillin, and the Cipro, right? So what
Okay.
happens is when you actually do that, which I didn't do, I did only Cipro. When you do that, it lightens up your corals like severely. So they recommend this product, which is, if you look at it, it's an amino acid, but it also is a lipid.
Mhm.
Okay, it has a lot of fats in it, which
Okay.
I found particularly interesting because we never speak about fats. And the more I research, I see corpora tissue could be up to 40% fat. And we never
Hmm.
speak about it. And all these tests we do will will check all these expensive ICP style tests that check aminos. They don't say a thing about lipid complex or anything like that. Or so it brought me into a whole new wormhole because I dosed this product and I didn't think anything of it. I saw a profound improvement on acros from it. Okay, now this is not.
Uh-huh.
I've used aminos before and I've seen stuff for aminos, but I think this has more fatty acids or something. Like this product made the corals look like they're dipped in I told you Diddy oil, baby oil, right? they were
Eh,
they would
So
look like they look shiny. Okay, and I've seen corals wake up that haven't been growing. So um I don't know.
here's my take. Okay, so one thing that Alan and I were kind of getting into, and I'll just kind of dovetail into like what you're saying here. What I'm experiencing and kind of sort of the direction I'm steering my system. Again, we bring the wonderful world of gardening and our microbiome and our gut into perspective, and we don't need to look too much further than these as signals of how we should perhaps manage our reap. So when we think of we're bringing minerals and vitamins and things of this nature into our body, right? What is going to be the absolute best form of a vitamin or mineral that you could possibly bring into your body? It would be a vitamin that's organic, right? Something in the form of a fruit, a vegetable, something that's very dense in terms of nutrients, dense in terms of vitamins and minerals, right? And so when that goes into your body, your microbiome is actually sort of like a gatekeeper, if you will, and it sort of recognizes this organic matter versus inorganic. And so that lends us to a whole notion over obesity and things of this nature, because we look at one thing and we think that's signaling obesity, when in reality, it's actually starvation. And if you go with me here, it's because the microbiome is literally rejecting most of the food and most of the things that are going in the average human body right now because they're inorganic. They're not real organic based foods. And when I say organic, I'm not saying like, oh, I bought the food off the shelf that's
Yeah,
organic.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
I'm saying is it's in
Trader
the
Joe's.
form of a food. And so when you're looking at the fatty acids and you're looking at the lipids, right? Just to sort of jump into that conversation, I've been a big promoter for a very, very, very long time of what I feed the fish. And when I reverse engineer, what's going in and sort of break it all down, I think we get really static with the way we manage our tanks, because we want to manage the nutrients a lot of times. We want to manage a test kit instead of really taking a sort of a step back. And when we think of fatty acids and lipids, right, to me, the best form that you're going to deliver to your acros is going to be in the form of an organic source. So when we look at aminos, right, and we look at the structure of what is the amino acid comprised of, right, it's going to be rich in just those key nutrients that we're discussing right here. But modern day bottles of aminos are mainly inorganic, and so perhaps that's lending to some of these issues that people are swearing on as a result of, oh, I can't put amino acids into my system because every time I do, I get X, Y, and Z as a result. You see, so that's where my mind is traveling when I'm starting to really break down what the needs are of a coral, and it kind of goes right into what you're saying as far as fatty acids and lipids, because what you're doing is you're delivering an organic food source to the system that could have been lacking, right?
Yeah, so this is the thing, like, I really I can't justify why. All I can
Hmm.
tell you is when I dosed it, I've seen things in the acros that I haven't seen, and to this point, I probably have the best colors that the system has seen,
Wow.
post antibiotic with this addition. But not, I didn't stop at this because I was like, wow, okay, I dosed this stuff, and I continued to dose it. It's been, I don't know, it's been a couple few weeks now. I'm dosing it daily. I'm dosing a small. I'm not following a direction. I'm doing a very small amount daily, because I figure it's getting consumed rather quickly. If it's anything like an amino acid, it's going to get consumed out of the water quick. So I started soaking all my foods in Celcon because I know that's another fatty acid.
Huh?
Okay, and so all my frozen foods now are Celcon. And something interesting happened. I can't explain this. My nitrates bottomed out. How the hell has that happened? I did not increase the carbon dose. I did not increase my water changes. My nitrates were hovering around 5 to 7, and they bottomed out after feeding like this over the last 2 weeks. They were, my nitrates are point nine right now.
I mean, I would suspect if you were to like break down those fatty acids and lipids, they're probably very, very nutrient dense and phosphorus. And if you're dosing phosphorus to your system, or if you increase the phosphate in your system, it could cause a reverse chain, and possibly the nitrates being utilized more. Sort of like when you're dosing like what I just was doing recently, where I was dosing phosphorus to my system, and I won't be doing that anymore as a result. But
Yeah.
it did make my nitrates go down
You see, Alan's
significantly.
comment. Alan says corals love their fats. They
Hmm.
use the coral's tissue thickness as an energy meter.
Hmm.
Fat lipids are primarily carbon chains. Okay, so
Hmm.
it's um anyway, what just happened with this stuff, you sped nitrates and phosphates, like I was always chasing that with nutrient levels, you know what I mean? Like nitrates, oh, your colors are light, dose phosphate. Okay, your phosphate's a point 0.3. Why aren't they getting darker? You know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
it's just I guess this brings me into more of like where Alan gets into it, into the beginning of what he gets into. He gets really involved. I have to get some new Alan's a new reiteration of his food. I have to try it again. Because I started seeing that sliming effect. Like, you ever feed his food and the corals like they just slime up,
Absolutely.
that whatever the
Hmm.
like Spider-Man stuff comes out of it. Alan, what do you call those white feeders that come out? Is there a name for that? Is that that's not the name?
Mesenterial fillets, right?
Mesenterial stomach? Is that what that is?
I think it's just a choral reaction. Usually, it's a digestive response, I believe. It's usually it's yeah,
Mesenterial stomach,
mesenterial
yeah.
fluid. It's
Okay.
it's yeah, it's gonna. So this is where flow becomes important. So it carries that away, away from the coral at some point when the coral's sort of done its thing. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of times, Rich, we see these reactions. Mostly at night when we're not really observing the system, and it's constantly happening while the lights are out. And it was sort of like what Alan was saying recently, as far as training your system. And when you're putting these things in during the lit hours, you're now going to be getting sort of this response that's going to send them feeders out, and so you're going to have an increase in your metabolic process. So that's probably where the carbon chain works in. You know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's freaking cool, and it's another angle. Here, look, Perry, this is year 28, 29, whatever the hell it is. Hey, look, it's another thing for me to focus on. Like I always kind of looked for like that richness in colors, and I always looked for it through natural means, like by increasing like surface
Hmm.
area, adding rubble zones, trying to get that fatty acid through natural means in the reef. And you know it's just going to make me focus on food more, kind of like what Alan's been doing for years, and I'm finally listening now. um but you spoke about the night, and that reminds me of something about the evening. So
Hmm.
um, I recently got one of those aqua whizzes, right? So it's like a chest hourly for alkalinity. I never had an auto tester before, and like so you could chart it like it charts the alkalinity for you like it charts pH, right? And I'm
Okay.
noticing like so when the halides come on, my alkalinity will go to its highest point of the day. It's like it stops being consumed, and through the night, when the lights are off, is when the alkalinity is consumed. That'll be my lowest alkalinity reading with in the evening. So I never tested my alkalinity at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning when I'm sleeping. So I found it pretty cool that it gets consumed in the evening. You know.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess it's probably just a delayed response. As far as the way it's consuming the minerals. You know, you would think at peak photosynthetic is probably when the minerals would be most consumed, or would sort of do the opposite, is what I would think. But that's interesting. So it does prove sort of through your testing is that
Yeah.
there's sort of a delayed response, which is interesting
Now,
for
now
sure.
this thing is the device is freaking on. I was skeptical. That thing is on the money. I tested it a million times with like, various points through the day. It's holy shit. It's a game changer. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but so far I love it. We'll see. I mean, I take every reading with a grain of salt. I always check manually whenever I'm around, but like to be able to chart it and to see the trends and stuff like that, and on something that you only test once or twice a day, and now you get 24 tests a day. It's pretty wild. Um, you know, but I gotta
Especially if
anyway.
you're like if you're into like analytics and data and stuff like that, and and like
Yeah.
trying to sort of brainstorm and use that as information to sort of take yourself out on a mental journey, if you will.
Mhm.
um that's amazing. I mean, it validates sometimes what your suspicions are. Alan put in maybe peak light leads to.
Photo inhibition, yeah. But I mean, I run the
Mhm.
halides in that particular tank 5 hours a day. I don't know.
Just like a
I mean,
plant.
yeah, I mean, if it's photo inhibition, I don't know. I look at it like it's a wind up, and then at night it's like boom, it's sucking everything
Yeah.
in. So I,
Well,
I don't know.
plants sort of do the same thing. They do a lot of their growing at night, believe it or not, during the dark period. So that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
That was cool.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on? So you've got the holidays coming up. So how are you
Yeah,
feeling about you? I mean, you got the colors getting dialed in. So you say you're pulling
colors.
some richer tones,
Yeah,
some
some richer colors for sure. And some sparked up growth a little bit. It's going well. I mean, it's my phosphate is I've also been running GFO for the last 2 months. Well, 6 weeks, whatever it is. Is right. I think I was running it right when we spoke last, but actually put it in a reactor. I got tired of running higher phosphate. I want to keep my phosphate around point 0.1 because I just see like way better growth and less browning of tissue. Like for instance, like an E flow, right? You look at it, it's like it could be overly brown if your nitrates are up there or your phosphates are up there. So I wanted to
Mhm.
keep like just in general, brown undertones. I wanted to lighten up a little bit and increase growth, get some tips, and so that kinda helped with that, I think. I like running this particular tank around point 0.1. I could see a better, you get that growth rim around corals that, you ordinarily don't
Mhm.
get. So, it's a nice change. I'm tired of, like, those melted crayons that look colorful? So, um, but anyway, about alkalinity. So, I was just freaking out a little while before we started because now I'm testing my alkalinity, right? Now, what do I have? 3 different bottles of Hana reagents. What do I get? 3 different alkalinity readings. And then what do we get? We get this right here. We got uh, this sucker right here, which gives me a
Oh yeah.
fourth reading. Okay, so now I have, let's see, what did I have on here? I wrote it down. I had 7.6 DKH, 7.8 DKH, 8 DKH, and 8.2 DKH. And then I had the Aquawiz that was saying 8.1 DKH. So now somewhere between 7.6 and 8.2. Whatever. It's a tight enough range. I'm not too worried, but just and then I tested multiple times. And when I test too, I'm using this thing, right? So I'm drawing exactly 10 ml in perfectly clean vials and I get a variation every time. It could be point 0.2, sometimes point 0.3 each test. So I don't know. My alk is somewhere between 7.6 and 8.2. Cool,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, I, the hobby test kits are and this is where I personally have never. I try not to get even with alkalinity at this point anymore. I just try not to really. Observation will tell you everything you need to know about what's going on. Of course, the test kit's important, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
sort of going to give you that sort
Well,
of that guide. But
Ari
I
says
think
there's a
go
point
ahead.
0.5 accuracy range. Ari's Reef?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so if it's point 0.5, and then if I screw up, so make it
Mhm.
point 0.1. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I kind of tend to just say, like, what I'm looking for is, like, if I got a test kit, right, and I'm going to use that same test kit for that, for that period, and it's going to stay within that batch range. To me, the first test is really just sort of a barometer, and then from there on out, every time I put the thing away, I test the same way. Every single time I do the same behavior, and so for me, I'm not going to get so even with a nano, Rich. I mean, my water volume is literally, you have more water probably in a reactor than I do in my entire tank. And I mean, not that much little, but for real, it's small. And so keeping that in mind, is cosmetic on
Not the
colors?
size. It's not the size, Perry. It's how you use it.
Well, absolutely. What up, NSB? What up, dude? That's Matt, my boy.
Hey, Matt.
So yeah, man. I think for me, it's like, okay, am I getting when I do the test, if I'm repeating it the same way from the time I start that test kit, I'm just looking to be somewhere in a range. Now, ironically, for me, I tend to get the exact same result every single time, even on my little nano. Um, and then I was actually talking to my buddy Matt, who's out there in SB, and we were talking about phosphate reliability the other day with the HANA checkers. And again, same topic came up, and I said, uh, it is. You could get one that's going to
Oh,
register a point zero
yeah.
one or point zero
I,
zero,
I've had
and
bad
then
reagents. I've had reagents point one off. Like one bottle would be point one off three other bottles. And actually, I emailed Hannah. I had three reagents from a lot that were off, and I emailed them, and they sent me three brand new ones. No questions asked.
mhm.
So I
So,
mean, it's
like, back in the day, man, it brings up some good questions to GFO. It brings up some old school reefing ideas, and I don't really. I think, like, I'm stoked to be having the opportunity to visit with acro heads like you and Lee and Alan, and I do have Rebel Reef coming up
oh, awesome.
in a couple weeks, and you guys are all like heads, and I'm grooving on your successes. That's where I am in the hobby. Like, so for me, it's like I want to learn. I want to take the hobby wherever I can as far as knowledge and stuff goes. But I am getting way more fun out of seeing your success, out of seeing all you guys' successes. So to
Well, that's how
me,
it goes. When you had your tank, it was your success that made me like excited, and I only had a little 25-gallon nano at the time. You know.
and I've changed, as a reefer, but I've also changed as a human. So as I continue to evolve, my whole look on this thing now has really taken on a garden approach, and I really wanted to drive my old behaviors, and I really wanted to throttle in on a lot of the different things that I've done with reef keeping over the years to drive what I felt like was success. But when I really kind of review my style, I kind of look back and I go, through these conversations, especially with Alan's recently, I'm just like, what am I doing? And that's where I'm at with my reef. I'm like, what am I doing? And so I now know, here's what I'm doing. It's a year on my tank right now. I'm stoked. And I look and I'm like, I'm as stoked as I was a year ago when I put the first piece of rock in the system. I'm as stoked. I look at the tank and I'm just so grateful to really just have a little tank at this point. And every coral is so unique and really
That looks
matters to me at
great,
this
Perry.
point.
That's a 40-gallon, right?
So yeah, yeah. But so
Awesome.
for me, it's like I love it, but I'm really what I like doing is I like geeking out and seeing you have that collection because I was there. And I mean, dude, let me tell you something. That is a whole different level of the hobby when you have all your favorites and you're able to keep all your little honeys and you're able to like dote on them all day long and you're just able to watch them. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different level. And I think as your stock increases, as your demand increases, I think it's completely normal for technology and all of these things, behaviors to follow in suit because your investment and everything
Well,
else lifts too.
there's a lot of
For me,
time, effort involved.
absolutely. And nothing's more important than that. Now, of course, money is obviously going to always be a determining factor. But when I look at this little reef that I've got, I haven't even yet come out of pocket for a coral. and I
Damn.
have a full tank, and I'm like, okay, I'm stoked, and I just put T5s back on. I decided, after the conversation with Alan, I said, what am I doing here? Okay, I'm trying to drive the system. I'm trying to push it. I'm trying to push, push, push. And these corals are not ready for it yet. They're not calling for this. And here I am trying to drive everything. And so I said, you know what, dude, let's make this simple, man. I said, let's stick to the water changes. I don't need to put bacteria. I don't need to put none of that stuff in the tank. I don't need to do nothing at this point. I'm just going to do a water change each week for right now. I pulled the sock. Like literally, I'm back to using T5s, and I don't even want to tell you what I'm seeing because it's
Well,
too early. But what I'm seeing has got me not mad at myself, but just going, Perry, you got to keep your mind open. You got to
yeah.
be willing to adapt. You got to be willing to listen to other people's styles. You got to be willing to even make changes that go against your core style of reef keeping. And that's
No,
what I'm doing,
now, what in
you know?
specific? What would go? What are you doing that's going against your core of reef keeping now?
Okay, so normally it's precision from a biological standpoint. Like I'm really pushing on bacteria, pushing on carbon source. I'm driving the metabolic process. I'm trying to feed the fish 3, 4, 5 times a day. All of these things. I'm trying to push something that's not ready to be pushed yet. So when you look at your reef, for example, and this is like kind of the takeaway I had from Alan or his reef, right? Or even Leeds, all you guys' reef, not mine, but mine is very, very immature. It's at a very, very point, at a low point where if I start over fertilizing that little system, it's going to shut everything down. And so I'm actually going to get a recession as far as growth. All right. I'm going to get a stagnation, if you will, because I'm trying to push a system that's not quite ready for it, as opposed to when the system starts saying, hey, I'm growing. Now I can start advancing, put a little more food into the tank, put a little bit more of this energy into the system, right? With the carbon source and lifting, that metabolic process. But right now I'm trying to push on something that is really, and it's only a year old. It's still very, very new. And so
Yeah,
the funny thing is these algae that I've been battling have been brought on through my over attendance,
yeah.
my
No, I get it.
over drive to try to hit benchmarks and things like that. And now,
Dude, I
like
understand
the last
completely.
conversation I had with Alan last week, I said, you know, let me think about this. And then I did. And yeah, well, I think we spoke, and I told you I had some KZ bulbs coming in. I had the
Yeah.
T5s back up, and
I
man,
listened to
I'm
your whole 3 hours with Alan, or 3 hours. That was awesome. You guys, I
oh,
listened to you guys. I got to thank you
it's
guys because you
incredible,
made
man.
my maintenance that morning pass. I listened to you guys while I did water changes on 2 systems and changed pumps and whatnot. So you
Yeah, you
guys
were
made it
probably
all.
done, and then ready to like, you probably still, the day was probably almost over at that point.
Yeah.
No, it was great because like that's the signature I think usually of like how things are flowing because we were really enjoying some of these topics that were very like I think we were answering sort of each other's sort of ideas of what's going on and maybe in his mind and what's going on in my mind and maybe indirectly without even trying we were sort of answering each other's questions through maybe our look our analogies and our take.
So so now you're a newer system that you've been probably low on nutrients, right? Like you've been have you been pretty low in the nitrate and phosphate, trying to keep it up or no?
So I've been trying to battle nitrate for a long time
On a
and
low end or a
I
high end?
high end and
Really?
I've
Okay.
been and then plummeted. My phosphate is always just completely zero, and I've been still using the carbon and bacteria source. So what I would do is I started then adding in liquid phosphorus to bring that up, and then of course then it would just fuel the algae. So I would go through these
That's the
cycles,
thing.
and so I finally said, it's like back and forth, give and take, and all this stuff. And I said, "Nah,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous because from a gardener's perspective, I it doesn't need anything. And
Dude,
here I am. I could just give it food,
Harry, I did the
literally in a
same
water
thing.
change.
I did the same thing with the ammonium. So my new system was bottoming out on nitrates and the phosphate was generally low. I would feed Reef, and I would start dosing ammonia. Ammonia ammonium, what the hell is it? Ammonium bicarbonate I was dosing. I didn't do the urea, whatever. Holy shit, the hair allergy went out of control. I had to stop dosing it, but because the system was immature. Now I could dose it now. The system's a little bit older now. I could dose it now and nothing happens. But in the beginning, you know,
Right.
in general, why was I dosing? Why was I dosing? Because my colors are pale. Because the corals look
Right.
light, right? So
Hmm.
now I'm wondering, what if I just up the fats into the tank? Would I bypass? Would I feed algae? Would it and darken up the colors of
Or
the tissue? You know what I mean? Now it's got me thinking about that. I don't have a new tank or an opportunity to try it.
right. Or just old school. You just go to the store and you go into the frozen section and you get a a Rods, or you get a Larry's or
I do
something
that.
like
Yeah,
that,
that's
and
what they
you
get.
dice. Yeah, and I mean, like, so there you should be able to get on a young tank. You should be able to get all of everything you need for the coral should be able to be through the gut of the fish and passed on to the acro. Um, Everything you should need on a young tank should be just fine. Like, so for me, there was never a need for a lot of the things I was putting in the tank. I could just, it would be easier for me to just say, hey, let me feed and protein skim. And that's literally what I'm doing right now. And now it's like this stupid algae is like freaking, of course, this it's not there. It's not coming back. Now the tank looks incredible. And I'm sitting here going, what do I want to do? Guess what I want to do? I want to go to the refrigerator and I want to find those little bottles, right? And it's because it's my human instinct. It's my desire, right? It's how I ran my reefs before. I want that bacteria. Oh, it's clean. It's ready. No, it's not. Let it be. Let it have fun. Let it do its thing. And then maybe in the future, when I start seeing that leading edge, like we've talked about, on all them acros, and I start seeing, okay, yeah, shrimp shells are a great carbon source too. Yeah, they are, absolutely. And so then I'm
Nice.
doubling up, Alan. Like, seriously, I'm just sitting here doubling up on carbon source.
What is
And then
if so
Ari's
some
talking about, real quick. Ari's
yes.
talking about he's always messing with
Ari's always
something
something. Yeah.
too.
Ari recently had a metal problem too. I think he had Ari. Did you have what was it? Tin? I forget. He had a metal and he's got it down under control now. But all his acros turned gray. It might have been zinc. I think he said high zinc. He told me. Um,
So all the shrimp shells, exactly, Alan. And it's like, so I've always fed frozen, and if you ever followed me anytime for 20 years, you know that I just will not feed anything but frozen food. I won't, unless it's live or frozen. It's got to be, and because of that, I've always battled nitrates, which makes sense because it totally makes sense because I'm pushing the limits, and then I'm adding a carbon source in, and so then I'm probably locking myself out, and I'm causing that phosphate to nitrate exchange, and then just like your minerals, when you fall out on minerals, everything gets all kind of cattywampus in your system. You know what I'm talking about, bro?
I don't know. Oh, Perry, you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. You there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was like in a delay. I don't know what was going on. I hear you now. I don't.
You good?
Yeah, I just went kind of like robotic for a second. That's okay. I hear you now.
All right. Sorry about that. Try feeding fish eggs to balance. Absolutely. Oyster eggs are really good too, man. Like, remember them back in the day?
Yeah, oyster eggs. Yep, and
Yeah, that's
what was
tons
it?
of fatty acids and lipids in that.
Reef Nutrition Row, I believe, was like those little eggs, and then there was the oyster feast, which was ground up oyster. Was that
Hmm.
was ground up? Yeah, yep.
You remember the stick? Remember that? What was that stuff called? That red stick that you would have in? It was those little tiny.
Pods.
Uh, huh?
Alan said pods. I don't even have pods. I nuked this tank like 5 dosages of the white bug stuff with what's his name collect the corals Anand. I use his stuff debug. Just did so there's no pods in my system right now anyway. They'll come back.
Yeah. So what was that stuff that we used to use back in the day? You remember that those little micro size red food that was frozen,
Cyclopses.
cyclops
Yeah.
cyclopses. Yep. You remember the stick, and you would just take
Yeah.
that thing out and stick it in the water and swish it around in your water like
I
that.
well, I used to get the cubes. I didn't have. No, actually, I remember a big sheet of it I
Dude,
had back in the day. That's right.
they
I
also had
totally
a
forgot
stick
about
of that
that.
stuff, dude.
The guy Adam from Frag Garage was saying Calanus. It's like a
It's
little. It's like
similar.
yeah, yeah. But those are bigger, and you could probably get sheets of them and stuff. Because I've been looking for like sources of like fattier fish foods. Right. I don't want to like dump salmon into the tank or something like that. But like a clam, a scallop, like fish fillet. It's relatively lean. I was looking for something a little more fatty, without dumping oils into the tank. So I'm gonna try
I mean,
Calanus.
and it's like that does lend you to that too. It's like, if you really need oil in your tank, man, just yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I
If
do,
we're
but the
at the point where we're
corals.
putting your urea in the tank, I mean,
Yeah,
like
seriously.
let's put some MCT oil in there and
Well, you probably got to
let's
dissolve that in
rock and roll,
acetate
man.
first. We're gonna make allergy to stuff.
Yeah, who knows where it'll go. No, but seriously, I've kind of throttled back, bro, and I'm just like, man, I'm just like looking at my reef, and I'm like, what? Yeah, I picked up a couple clownfish yesterday, and I now have 5 fish in there, and I'm like, all right, it's like a nice little lively little reef. The acans are just, dude, my acans are just so freaking fluffy. They love the
Yeah.
T5, bro.
What is it? I love fluff. What would you attribute the fluffing, like the fullness of the acans to? Was it a lighting change or just from the feedings?
All right, so a couple of them definitely got wrapped up in that point source. All right, and got a couple of their polyps on the edge of the polyps got burned. And as soon as I put the T5s on it, dude, I don't want to keep going here, but I have to say it because it's worth talking about.
Yeah, man. Why not?
Um, they they're all healed. Even the one that I thought was going to die is healed, and I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I have a corner of the tank it's getting a beautiful piece of sunlight in. Some neighbors cut down some trees, and I'm getting an afternoon beam for about an hour and a half. It's coming through, and it's coming through the corner of the tank, and everything that's in contact with that little beam is it's just super happy. It's very interesting to see the power of the sun. And so many people, in the past would say, like, you don't want that. But honestly, dude, when I redesign in the future, I'm going to try to get it near a window to get some more of the sunlight in. But
Yeah, sorry, I remember back in like the late '90s and early 2000s when I first started the hobby, I used to actually position a mirror so the sun would hit the mirror and like point directly at my 65-gallon reef at the time and bake certain acros, and I would sit
oh,
there
dude, they
like
probably
a like
loved
a.
it, dude.
I wouldn't know, man. I back then what do we do back then? I had 175-watt metal halide bell pendants over the tank.
Yeah.
Everything was exciting. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, that you're really throttling the colors, man.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that you're
I gotta show you. The halides are gonna shut off in like I don't know 20
Yeah,
minutes. So,
let's do it, man. Show me
being
what you
that I
got
don't
going
know,
on, brother.
I honestly don't know how long I'm gonna have metal halides on this tank. I'm thinking about it, man. It's like really because listen, I'm jamming 30% of my acros into my biggest tank, and like I can't. It's hard to explain unless you have halides because everybody remembers them, but not very guys have them side by side to actually play with them. They remember the good old days, and I'm looking at the good old days. And the good old days, well, guess what? Walt Disney suck under metal halide, and your any kind of red highlighted tenuous, any latticella with like multicolors, your Bahama Mama Millie doesn't exist without an LED. It only exists under an LED rendering. It turns solid pink. So basically, that kind of stuff. All the popular corals of today look muted under halide. Not that I can't grow them, not that they're not healthy, but I like the colors. So anyway, let me flip this thing over here and a little blue. I'll give you this is the brown filter. We'll put that on. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's see.
Gorgeous reef, man.
I had
That's
let's see. I gotta do this way here. Hold on. See if I can focus. It doesn't let me focus when I'm on the YouTube. So let's see what we got here. That's just two birds nest sandwiched together. That's the Route 66 Queensland Sizzler and some Blue Zing hybrid one. I forget. That's some coral from Five Alarm Corals. This is actually so now this is a Carolina Coral Heads Chewbacca Millie, right? Now this thing under LED
it
looks
looks like a rouge almost, man.
under LEDs. Those polyps are bright neon green, and the coral is straight hot pink. But look, You see how it looks kind of browned out? I mean, listen, I like it in here. That's why I put it in the halide. It grows in here. It's fine, but the colors are totally different. And the same goes for the RMF Superman stag. Brown as shit in this tank. Okay. Now in LED, this sucker is violet. Now this is the same water. It's not my water. It's not a trace element. It's straight up light.
Oh no,
You
I get
know.
it. Yeah.
And then, but however, a Fox Flame looks sick under halide. You know, better
Oh
than my
yeah.
LED tanks. And then there's this is a piece of what do you call pink lemonade that I mounted it and I'm going to regrow a colony from that. That's a clean piece, not too much the dark shit on it. It's Strawberry Fields from Battle Corals. This is that Reef Starfire. This table, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this thing.
Woo.
It's growing at such a rate now. It's like it's going to take up this whole part over here, and like I mean, it
Holy
looks awesome.
shit, dude.
So I mean, I'm going to have to move everything out of its way. And then I don't know. Look, I mean, the color's sick on it. This is looks like the old school leprechaun's beard, same kind of coral. And then this is pieces of the ocean afterburn. And now here's a coral that looks completely different under LED too. The LEDs get violet highlights on it. It gets like reddish almost, right? I don't get the suntan under the halide, but I get the deep purple. What I see in person's a little different than when you're seeing on the phone. It looks like I see way more purple than like this golden color, you know. And then this is the RMF tiger's blood. Okay, this has been growing slow for me. I've had it for over a year. I mean, it's growing, it's healthy. I'm not complaining, but it's not a fast grower for me. Maybe the feeding will help. I'm not sure. This is a piece of confetti that was straight black. You could see it coming back. Look, you can see it's still dark at the
Hmm.
bottom, but look how pink it's getting, and it has crazy nighttime pee. So it's recovering, which is great. It's another wild short kick. It's a piece.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
I have the other half of it over here. You know, so it's actually broken in half when I first got it by accident. I mounted it in two different places. Um, this is just a solid purple Velita. I got this as a frag 2 years ago, and I mean, it's as purple can be. It's freaking awesome. And an Alberhensa stag. I've had one of those in every
Oh,
one of my tanks. Yeah, it grows kind of wild. I chop that sucker down all the time, and I kind of like give it away to locally people when they come by because I have so much of it in the other tanks. Um, and where's that? I got the purple pillow there. There you go. I don't. Maybe it grew a little bit, Perry. Look, I think it grew a little bit.
oh yeah. It's looking
What is
good,
it? What,
man. It's
purple
you
candle.
got
Purple
some of the
candles.
green. Yeah, WWC purple candle.
Yeah, let me go from the side. Let me see. I haven't looked at it. I kind of put it in a place where I don't have to look at it and I just forget it. It's got a while ago. And then what else we got? So this is Jason Fox Fantasy Island.
See, that
That
looks a
is
lot too like that one look that's
it
and
is.
I've always thought it's very similar to the Bugatti too,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
they're all similar. The Icarus and
yeah.
there's a lot, just like this deep, whatever the hell they are. But right behind it is in. It's hard to get because it's like that's an ORA frag. That's an ORA blue bottle brush. The color on that thing,
Ah,
it looks
look how
more.
blue that is, dude.
It's I don't know if the camera's picking up. Yeah, but it's crazy blue. It's probably the bluest thing in the tank. So, and then this is a Red Wing Millie. Now the color's sick. I get very slow growth on it, and I don't get growth tips. I really don't think this coral likes halide, but that's where it's staying. It pops and whatever. It is what it is. This is just some sunset millie that grows like shit for me. I've had this for 2 years. It barely grows. I don't know. I just leave it. The color looks good. Um,
They do that
that's
though.
yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird. And this is what the hell is that one? Oh the oh shit, I'm drawing a
Is that the
blank.
blue matrix?
No, it's the oh man.
Palmer's? No, that's not Palmer's, is it?
Oh man. Dude, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. I'll come back to it. I'll remember it. It's oh fuck. Whatever. Dude, I'm getting old.
It's all good, dude. No worries.
It's the $500 E flow.
Oh, that's pretty.
Now
I
I'm
like it.
giving it kind of. It's not getting low par, but if I baked it, it would have better color. It's only probably getting maybe like 250, 300. If I got that sucker 400 or 500, that purple would pop. Really, I had it in LED last year as a little frag, and
Blue
the
flame.
thing, blue flame. There you go. Yep, that's what it is. The blue flame.
Thanks,
The
Mark.
yep. Yeah,
And
thanks,
Alan.
Mark. Mark, Mark opened up a whole new can of worms. I have to look for more lineage. What the hell? The Palmer's Blue Millie. I'm not sure if my Palmer's Blue might be a Spath. I'm not really sure. Oh, that's just an
God,
old piece of rainbow.
I had one like 3 years ago that was insane.
This is a piece of the ocean. This is a dream catcher. This is a coral that looks better in an LED. You get all the crazy colors, but I just don't have room for it in there. So, whatever. It's tabling. It's just a wild, like ASD type. It's a wild one though. And back there's the pearlberry. It's not as big as Lee's, but the color's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else? This is the Tyree Wow Factor. I don't know. It's growing very slow for me. You know what that is?
Oh yeah,
She's growing. She's growing.
I'm
Definitely
taking
like the
that catch.
lower.
Yeah,
Definitely like
that
the
looks
lower product.
insane, dude. That purple monster looks absolutely beautiful, man.
Yeah, and some other smoothies, whatever. The Hawkins, and that's just some wild one, and some Laura peas, a wild piece I've been growing. I had to hack this. This is a piece of tangerine dream. I just cut it. The colony was getting too big. I had to chop it down. Now, this is a nice one, but it grows slow in this particular tank. This is the Pieces of the Ocean Kofifi. It
Oh,
probably
nice.
would take off under LED, but whatever. It's there and it's encrusted. And TSA Rose Bloom on that one, and there you go, Ari's Avalanche. That's a,
Mm.
that's a nice one. But the colors got real deep and rich in this tank. Everything's kind of there's not too many like lightning of pieces in here. So that's what I saw. And then
No,
if you
that Rich, that which tank is that? Is
this
that
is
Ari's in? Is that in the halide tank?
yeah, this is Ari's under
Oh,
halide.
okay, we're
So
still in the halide tank. Okay,
yeah, this
no,
is all the same tank.
That Ari's is looking beautiful, man.
Yeah,
It's well represented. You
I
know,
mean,
you can try to push the envelope on that, but man, if you just keep it healthy,
it
I think
impressed.
as it grows and as the branches elongate and start doing their funky shit that they do, that's when that more of that pearl comes in. The longer the branches get. So I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, man. Like so, well done on your color. I know
Thank
you're
you,
being
thank
a
you,
little hard on yourself with colors, but you shouldn't be. Everything looks outstanding, dude.
thank you, thank you. Oh, listen, I'm trying. You know how it is. I got to change the lens for this one. I'll show you the booger tank. Let me just put the orange lens on that one because it's all blue. Here's my little. Well, we're looking at my whole little coral section here. I don't know my fragging crap, my testing stuff. Let's see. 1 second. I really should invest in a second clip, but whatever. I can't find them.
What up, Blake? Mark, how you doing? Got Matt in the house. I just want to go through real quick while you're transitioning into your LED tank and
Yeah.
just kind of like mention everybody out there. See if I missed anything. Okay, so yeah, just everybody's still in there. We got Ari, Mike, Alan. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of
Blake just stopped in. Yeah, we kind
that,
of
was
when did we decide to go live? I think it was just like yesterday, wasn't it?
yesterday. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so because of the holidays, guys. I kind of really didn't even have anything really planned out. Oh wow, look at this. So yeah, your LEDs look insane, dude. So you have those the centerpieces, right? Or those uh they're the version of help me the Ecotech version, right? But
These are
not
G.
Ecotech.
No, these are real. These are G6 blues. These are real ones in this
Oh,
tank.
okay,
Yeah.
those are the legit
So
ones. Okay.
yeah. So this is like the spectrum. The lights go off at 7 o'clock. So this is like ramping down very blue now. I have a lot of stuff in here in this tank, but this tank is like new acquisitions. A lot of it's small. So this is a piece of an insanity. I got it really small. It's hard to see in here because I can't focus well, but it's growing. That's Peng's Blue Monster behind it. This is a Battle Corals Tenuous. I think he calls it Spook City. This is my first frag I made of my Tussi's granulosa from the colony in my halide tank.
Mm.
That's going to be my second colony. So I was able to cut that the other day. It took me 15 months to be able to frag it. That's Big R's Candyland. This is my Orange Passion, which is growing pretty damn fast right now. I'm pretty happy about
That's
that.
beautiful, dude. So I got a
Uh,
question for
yeah.
you. So, all right. So, hypothetically speaking, if we were to take the one of those FLOs, for example, or one of those big plates, what
Mhm.
would because your bases all look good on these corals, um, absolutely insane, but they're also not really shading at this point, and it's because they're still they're not like massive colony size. They're like
Yeah.
medium size colonies. Do you notice? So is that the one that has T5s on the other
They
sides of it?
they both have T5s. I don't run them
Oh,
without
okay.
T5s. And then
All right.
this tank
I see
here,
what you're doing
because of
now.
4 blades, this has the coverage of a T5 tank. This tank here is this tank. Honestly, dude, Perry, I love blades, man. I wouldn't hesitate to like do more tanks with only blades. It's very low heat compared to the other ones. There's no hot spots. The par is so even through the whole tank. Like I put the par over here during peak photo period at 400. I par tested the other day, and it seems to be a good medium of like being able to get good
It does
colors.
look like T5. It looks
Dude,
like T5
there's
lighting
there's
almost.
no shadowing. There's no like there's not really. I mean, if the water wasn't rippling like crazy on the surface, you wouldn't even see any kind of glitter line in there. There's not much anyway, but it's like it. The best way I can explain it, it's like T5 with more pop. But I'm a big fan of blades. I really am. It's something you need to experience, especially on a smaller tank. They're really economical. They're economical as well. Like if the 36-inch ones, like 3 of them on your tank would smoke your tank. Like 2 grows and 1 glow. So like if you ever go back to LED, it's something you could. This is a piece
Wow,
of
look at
lemonade
that
that
pink
was.
lemonade.
Yeah, that was a piece that was never infected. So this piece stayed in this tank, and this one never got the black shit on it. So that's how my other one used to look, except it was like 5 times that size. Um, there's a lot of shit
Hmm.
in there. This is a whole pack from Thirsty's Reef that my buddy spent two grand with Thirsty's Reef, and his tank has like not been ready, and it's been a year. So he's like, "Oh, I'm just sending it to your house. You grow it." So he sent me a whole shitload of stuff there. Like I don't know, all those name tenuous, but they're tiny, so they're not much to look at. And there's somebody's frag pack. I gotta picking it up tomorrow, and somebody else's frag pack picking it up tomorrow. Subsidize the madness.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
so.
Well, it's
Uh,
good if you have like a market that will sort of do that in your local area.
Oh,
You
yeah. I
know.
mean, listen. Look, I'm growing good stuff. So like, listen, people spend a lot of money with vendors. I don't think I'm giving a lesser product than a vendor would. So they get it in their own
Look
backyard,
at that
coming to my
splice,
house.
man.
Yeah, this splice is just fucking insane, dude. It's the marbling on it, and it started growing like wild, and
Well, I'm
there's
gonna see if I can't pull that one off under T5s, dude. I've
yeah,
got mine blasted.
this looks awesome under daylight, man. I think it'll be absolutely fine on T5. There's a Pink Floyd. This is
Oh,
a
that's
Battle
pretty.
Corals. That's a Battle Corals grout competition coral. It's like a Velita type. What else? That's Jackpot tenuous, and I don't know what else. Anything cool in here? Let me see.
Look
Oh,
at
this
that
is
SOC right there.
that's a piece of the ocean flamethrower. That's a Battle Corals blood bank, they call it, or something like blood bank. Yeah, that's another Red Wing Millie, and I can't fucking grow it. Excuse the language, but I've had that coral
Nah,
for
you
like
good.
18 months, man. I cannot grow a Red Wing Millie. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Whatever they want, I'm not giving them. So I had that coral. It was like 2. I mean, it just encrusted. That's it. Um, and that's
So
that.
let me ask you a question. Under that blade tank, it looks like you're pulling really good blues. You know,
All the color, the rendition of all the colors, but you can see the colors in general are lighter in here. Okay, because this tank. So
it does. It kind of looks like it does look like T5, man. It kind
yeah.
of.
But the nutrients are much lower in here. I've also been putting that restore in here, and it's making a difference. This tank will bottom out on nitrates, and honestly, it will bottom out on phosphates if I don't feed Reefroids once or twice a week. I'll go 0-0 on the phosphate. Like right now, I fed Reefroids last night, and I tested phosphates today, and they were like 0.06. So, and then this is the other part of the tank that's connected into this one. A lot of nice stuff in here too. It's just like more colonies, little colonies I'm growing in here. There's some cool table and some latticella, some bubble bath
You got a lot
unicorn.
going on, dude.
Yeah. So my goal is to like little by little as I grow the more desirable stuff and the stuff that I like more. I want to take out more of the common stuff. Like I sold 2 colonies today. I'll sell the more common colonies when I have room to place the special stuff, and hopefully one day I get a couple tanks of only the special stuff or the hard to grow stuff that I'm successful at, and I could share the wealth with everybody. It's kind of like my goal. um I'm not saying I want to be battle corals, but I definitely do want to start selling these corals online, and I will make a website and stuff. But I'm not going to do it 7 days a week. I'm going to have nice packs of like quality stuff when they grow and hook
You
people
know
up.
what I was actually what I was going to do at one point with my smoothies, and you may want to kind of consider this, and because A, it protects the market value, and then B, it kind of creates hype, is maybe just have like a quarterly or a biannual cutting that you offer it, and then you can say, once a year or twice a year, I make them available. That's what I was doing with my smoothies, and it made it a lot easier for me. And I just said, look, they're cut once a year. You're either in or you're not. Like that's it.
Yeah. So
But
these
when
are
it comes
pieces.
to the
Look
high
at that guy.
dollar stuff that you really don't want to cut all the time, that's that one that's injured, right?
That's a piece of the lemonade with the black. It was almost solid black, so the tips are coming back. It's going to take some time, but I'm definitely seeing improvements. I had a lot of pieces of it, Perry. I probably had, a dozen pieces when I chopped it up, man. So, to see improvements on anything is pretty cool. Well, this is an interesting one. I got this 2 months ago. This is Greg's unicorn. So
Oh,
I've been wanting this piece, and it's a growth tip off of like the colony typically looks like a smoothie, right? But this was like a clustery growth tip off the colony that my local fish store Reef chopped up for me. So
no, that's
that
a
was
pretty
cool.
piece, man.
This thing's pretty sick. This is Pinky in the Brain I got it from Five Alarm Corals. I have a piece under halide too. It does well under halide. This is a Carolina Coral Head, Little Red Riding Hood. It's interesting.
Oh,
It's
it's
got
nice.
yeah, nice contrast to the polyps. Another Princess Peach. I have like three of these. I like that. It's a really hard coral to frag because it's so tight. It's Aqua Vista 99. What
Oh
else?
yeah,
Oh, I got to show you here. This is my tenuous, starting to wake up a little bit. Like a little tip coming out. Still not much polyp.
nice.
That tip is new. So
Yeah,
whatever
no
that is,
doubt.
some other
And that
tin.
what is that? Your Jackson's tenuous right there?
That's the Jackson's tenuous. I bought like a sickly
Oh yeah.
frag like 18 months ago, dude, and it's you know, this is a Bahama Momley that I burned under halide, and it's coming back under LED. Like the thing went totally pale pink under the halide. I moved it in here, and it's starting to get the greenish polyps back. And here's a piece of Disney that's still recovering from that copper burn. See how pale it is? It's, believe it or not, it's doing a lot better. The thing was almost white, but it's coming back. You know, and it's about it in here. So
Yeah.
you know,
That's
a lot of
quite
cool
a bit to
stuff.
geek out on.
And this is my quarantine tank, which I use for coral quarantine, fish quarantine, and just whatever. My son has a 15-gallon tank. Sometimes things outgrow his tank and they end up in here. I freaking have anemones in there. Wherever I have room for it. But
Nah, man, you're looking great in there, dude.
yeah,
Everywhere.
thank
Put
you.
more fats in the halide tank. Yeah, he's probably saying that because there's probably
Yeah,
probably
that's the one so the halide tank is my main system. That's the one that's connected to the system with all little frags. That's the one I've been focusing on. Yeah, I've been ramping it up. I've been ramping up the fats. Alan, does your food have like a good fat concentration in it? Because if so, I'll just buy a jar of yours and just start feeding that again as well. I'll wait for them to respond, but yeah, I'll
would
definitely
imagine
start
it
ramping up.
it does. Yeah, I use right now. I think I've got a little bit left. Is the vitalizer? Um, that's what I do use, and that's
Fertilizer.
obviously a fermented form of fatty acids and lipids and whatever. But obviously, KZ is not going to talk about what's in it.
Oh,
But
so KZ, you had me thinking about something now. So now I was watching a video last night on YouTube, the guy with like the 40-foot outdoor tank. And it's funny because he had high tin, right? And he said he ran zeolite to remove the metals in his tank. So it had me thinking like when we ran KZ zeolite back in the day, we always ran zeolite in reactors or whatever was part of the system. And even if we did dose these elements that contained metals, we had zeolites to remove them. So it's just another reason that I was thinking why like we didn't just crash tanks immediately with that stuff. You know, I don't know. Maybe right, maybe wrong. Something I was thinking about.
I think what for me, I can only speak on my behalf. It's just I have to, humbly admit that, I didn't know and personally didn't know. I mean, if we don't go
Interesting.
and really just find out what is zeolite, I mean, now granted, now we've got AI and these engines that can kind of pulse information out so fast. But back in the day, you had to go and it wasn't so easy to do a search, sort of like unless it was on Zeovit's Zeolite, they would give you sort of information. But I mean, I've learned a lot about it over the years, but I use it for air purification. It's used in human health. It's used
Yeah,
in
yeah.
but all it is
Detox.
it's just an absorber of
One second.
heavy metals,
Yep. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
No, you're good. I'm going to go through the chat.
My window was freezing. I was freezing over there. I had to close it. Yeah, let's see what the comments are.
Yeah, while you're looking
Radio.
over the comments, I don't want to have to tell you that I did a bike ride today. I did a little sunbathing. So yeah, I mean it was beautiful. It was like in the what is it, about 78 here, sunny, on and off, beautiful weather here. So
Of
it's the
course.
time of the year for Central Florida. It's just a gorgeous time of the year. The fall is absolutely just gorgeous here. The zeolites kind of act like a safety cushion on the traces. Yeah, they do. They do
Um,
pull it. I don't think they, Alan. I don't think they pull as much as maybe a lot of people think. I think they do mildly yank on them a bit, but and again, that's how depending on how much you're using. If you're using them in a reactor, if you're using them passive, if you're forcing water through them, it really depends on application as well. Um, what else? We had rain and snow today. Oh shoot. Rain and
yeah,
snow.
dude.
No, not me, man. I was able to exercise today and get some sunlight, and man,
No sunlight for me
I'm
today, sir. It was shitty over here, boy. We had some sunlight before the sun went down. That was about it. But we had sideways rain over here all day.
oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of borderline a little bit warm for this time of year. But, I just open windows and try to take advantage of the time of year where you don't have to push the AC as hard, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of fresh air coming in. The reef seems to like it. A little fresh air
Yeah.
exchange.
Yep. Yep. High CO2. Let's see. I had the windows open today. Like, usually, when I have the windows open, the tank hits like 8.5. No, 8.46. Look, good enough. I'll take it. You know.
Shoot, that's yeah. So that's interesting. You're in a position, where, you're kind of all systems go for really ramping that system and pushing the needle, so to speak. So kind of to the contrary of, what my personal experience is right now, why I've made a decision to sort of go back a little bit, kind of chill out a little bit, where you sort of are open right now to just really put the pedal to the metal. So yeah, I mean,
I'm
fatty
listening.
acids
Listening to
would
the
would be
corals,
a
Perry.
great.
That's it. You know.
Well, fatty acids is something you should just continue to use anyway. Um,
It's not talked about though, like everything's amino acids. You go on Reef Moonshiner, they have an
Mhm.
organo test that just gives you amino acid everybody's always low in amino acids, no matter how much you dose. It doesn't mention anything about fat. So you know what? I- I'm just gonna focus on that because I'm seeing like, crazy improvements in the last
Mhm.
like few weeks. Crazy improvements. I mean, stuff. I mean, I'd have to show you like side by side photos. I could see it, in person. I just don't. I hope I don't hit a point where it's like, oh shit, I got Sano everywhere. So we'll see what happens. So the other Ari put a comment here. He's like, Rich, you quit doing moonshiners. You dosing traces at all anymore, or just relying on water changes and melted coral? Um, I'm not doing moonshiners to the T. I still send out my ICPs just because it makes me feel better that I'm not poisoning my tank and losing everything you just saw. Because not for nothing, like if I lost all that crap, man, that not only I mean, it would be disheartening. Just spending all the time to grow it, and not only the monetary loss would suck as well. I mean, it's bad enough we run the risk of all these possible mishaps or ruptured tanks that could kill everything. Um, but no, so what I'm doing is I do my ICPs like every month, month and a half, sometimes 2 months. I just check for toxicity. I'll make some fluoride corrections here and there. I'll make some zinc and some strontium and potassium corrections if needed. On a daily basis, I dose a little bit of iron. I dose a little bit of manganese. I dose iodine. In the one system, I've been dosing selenium. I can't tell you if it makes a difference, but I've been dosing it. Okay, then my system with the blades, which is my newer system, I dose only iodine in that one, and that one relies strictly on water changes. Now, when you compare the two systems, one is a lot lighter than the other, but the newer system also has lower nutrients, less feeding, less fish load, so that's probably why. I don't think I'm I don't think I'm sacrificing anything by not dosing all the elements, which is why I mean I'm not saying moonshine is bullshit. I think there's something to it, but a vast majority of those elements, they're not even proven to be consumed by the corals. It could be macroalgae, it could be precipitation. So that's my only qualm with it. And if you actually buy the moonshine elements and you don't make your own, I mean, it gets expensive in a big system. My monthly corrections were like it was ridiculous. I was going through 2 bottles of fluoride a month plus, bottles of other stuff. My corrections were like, I don't know, 70, $80 a month besides the $65 test. I mean, there's enough expense with the hobby with the water changes and corals and losses and electric and all that, to add another, oh shit, I don't even know in a big system, probably another $1,000 a year just for, testing and elements. Whatever. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I dialed it back a little bit. That's all.
I mean, in a case where, all right, I'm gonna go somewhere where probably others out there may not like to hear it, but you almost owe it to potential buyers to do what you're doing, because it's ensuring that a healthy specimen is going to be ready to take off upon entering the customer, whoever's tank is going to be going in. I know that there are situations where sometimes we have to frag to save corals. I get all of that. Um, I find, me personally, I don't think we should take frags and unless we can show visible signs that they're on the upswing. I don't think we should take them from corals that are on the way out, unless we can show they're back on the uptrend before we put them in another tank, right? Or bringing them in as a wild and then cutting them into a bunch of pieces and then getting them out into
Okay.
the into the network, before we even know what that coral is going to do. Hence the multiple names on many, many corals out there. But I don't want to poo-poo on the hobby like that. I'm just saying, like, it's nice to hear that you're doing these things because that's important, and I would feel confident buying from somebody who's going, and putting those extra efforts into ensuring optimal health. I think it's important. So it's really good on you for doing that. And
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, that's just, that's what it is. Luckily you have the offset, to help fund some of those things as well. Because if you had to do this without it, it would be
Oh yeah,
pretty
listen. I mean,
difficult
but
thing to do.
you know what? We all have hobbies. I mean, Perry, I sold my boat and I don't fish anymore. And you know what? I save money by reefing. Okay, because boating is
Oh, hell yeah.
you know, every time something breaks, it's like, oh, here's another reef tank. It's like,
Yeah, I don't know personally, but I could only imagine. I'll leave it at that.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a matter of like, so for me, I'm really stoked to have things as simple as I can. I hope that my only goal is to try to show that I can push the needle a little bit with colors and maybe showcase uh, some colors under T5s in a nano system, and show that that it is possible. And so, I mean, that's just my own little personal goal for 2026. Other than that, I want to see this little tank next year. My goal is just to see it become really like, there was a tank back in the day. I don't know if you remember on Reef Central, but I'm gonna throw it out there. But in my head, I've themed a lot of tanks in the past, and a lot of the ideas have come from people like you, people like Sunny, and I don't know if you recall a guy that was from the Netherlands, Robertus, and he had this little nano aquarium. on the SPS forum, and it looked like a 200-gallon aquarium, and it was only like a little 55-gallon aquarium, and it was just because of the way he planted the corals and just the level of meticulous nature. Over 50 fish in this thing, and I mean it was incredible
What
to
was his name? I want
see
to
it
wait.
scale.
Say his name again because I want to search it
It
when we're
was
done.
Robert with an HUS, Roberthus, and
Robert. Okay, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna search
he
that.
came to the hobby, showcased this amazing tank, and then I never really could find him again. I looked for him, but when I designed this little system, I have to admit that there was a lot of I was channeling his old system from back in the day, and my goal was like, I want to be able to see if I can make this look like something that looks like a massive tank,
Yeah.
but it's actually literally a little 40-gallon system. So that was kind of the idea with this
I think the
system.
scape is key for that. Like these guys that do these like branching minimalist scapes. I did that with my last cube. It was the tank had like 30 pounds of rock in it, but it was like all branched. So like when you put the colonies in like the first 6 months, the tank looked terrible. It was just like little corals on the tip of branches. But once they started to pom out on the branches, it took shape. And the flow underneath the colonies, every piece was getting that underneath flow, and the tank grew like crazy. Everything tabled, and the polyp extension was awesome. And I kind of like on my display here. I kind of missed that because I used my scape in that 200-gallon tank is 7 rocks. It's 7 Australian live rocks, and they're clustery branches. So there's only so many vantage points, and it kind of you don't get that underneath flow because you're mounting something on a flat surface. If you put a table on a flat surface, it blocks the flow underneath. When it's on an overhang, an extremity, so that's the nice thing about like those open scapes like that.
Hmm.
I think that's key to make things look bigger than they are.
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's really nice that you have such a beautiful display, but then you haven't lost touch with making sure to kind of keep that nostalgic display, and then you have all your geek out tanks where you can just go nuts with corals. So kudos to
Yeah.
you, man, for
Well,
building the
well,
obsession.
you know how the hobby is, man. Like, what is our resume? Our resume is our tank, right? It's like, well, we'll listen to this
Hmm.
guy. He's an idiot. Why am I going to buy corals from this guy? So you have to show, proof is in the pudding. You got to show what you're doing. You have a clue. I mean, this. I'm 23 months into this journey here. Okay, I started that display 23 months ago. I started the frag tank plumbed into the display last July. Okay, and then the other system with the 2 tanks. With the blade and the other tank there, those were started 8.5 months ago. So it's still really young into the journey. All the growth came from primarily the bigger system because I packed that bigger system with so many corals. I couldn't possibly grow them out. So as they grew, I've removed colonies I want to keep in there, or I frag stuff to make second colonies and third colonies. Like Princess Peach, for instance, I have a colony in each one of the tanks. I have yet to sell a frag of it. I keep give myself backup colony. One of these days I'll sell frags of it. But you know, and then having the different lightings on each tank as well gave me more insight. Now it's like I could see I'm not going to read about it. I'm not going to get marketed to death. I'm not going to read some like old school ego rhetoric. Oh, halides were the best. None of that shit. I'm here playing with it. Nobody's going to tell me I'm an LED hater. Nobody's going to tell me I'm a halide lover. And this, I'm actually taking these corals and I'm putting them here and there with the same order. And I'm seeing the difference. So, like, I watched Reef Bum's thing the other night, and they're talking about lighting. These guys don't have freaking tanks. I mean, Reef Bum's the only one with a tank, right? I love their products or whatever, but like, unless you're playing with acros, don't tell me about the fucking color of an acro. Like, I mean, whatever. I'm
Well,
not going to name names, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll dovetail on that, and I'll kind of pull you into like Abe from Coral Euphoria. One thing that I've always
he's
really
awesome.
admired
Loved him.
about him is he's a chemist, he's a doctor, he's all these things. And I remember he said, I don't want to be measured on the merit of my certificates or what's on the wall. I'm in reef keeping. I have to be measured on what I show in my corals. And to me, look, this is where I'm at in life. So I'm not, I think what you're saying, I agree 110%.
Not
I
to hate on
agree with
anybody.
it
Like,
on
I love their
every
lights.
single level. Let me ask you a question. if you were going to go and you were going to get advice about health and nutrition, are you going to follow somebody who looks like they're into what they're doing, or are you going to follow someone who
Yeah,
just has a bunch of degrees on the wall?
I listened to the fat guy with the degrees on the wall. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of
There you
course, the
go.
guy. Yeah,
And so, like it's really that simple, and it's nothing against anybody, any particular size or
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So I'm not judgmental like that. But what I'll say is I'm gonna follow where the proof's at. So that was one of the compelling factors of why I got back in the reef hobby, because I didn't want to be coming and making these shows or having lives or detailing or documenting, my thoughts about acropora keeping, unless I had a tank with acroporas in it, for
Yeah,
goodness sake.
you have to
Because if I don't,
experiment. You know.
I lose all. I in my own eyes, I lose all credibility. I lose all sort of. It's wonderful if these guys have had these tanks before. That's awesome, but
Mhm.
unless you have your hands on what you're talking about and you're using it daily and you're able to quantify through what you are seeing, what you're experiencing, what your gut, your instincts, your pineal gland, whatever you want to call it, whatever your conscience is saying, in the end, hands in the dirt. That's
Yeah.
who I'm going to go with.
And then this kind of way of doing things these days, it you know what happens? It creates this like this toxic influencer type shit because
Sure does.
you're not using your damn product. You're not saying, "Hey, I changed the spectrum and I see this difference." What are you doing? You're giving lights to a bunch of guys like me or somebody else who's got skin in the game or whatever. And now I'm obligated to say, "Oh, these freaking things are awesome." And most of the time they can't even come up with a real difference. Or some guys don't even they're not even like advanced hobbyists enough to notice anyway, but they're very good at making videos. So, you get again, it just feeds into this whole marketing thing, and you really don't know. And not everybody has the luxury to do what I'm doing right here to put things side by side. I mean, there were times when I had a 25-gallon tank and I was happy with it, a 34-gallon tank and I was happy with it, and it
Mhm.
it kept me into the hobby. It kept me interested, kept me, socializing with all the hobbyists and going to shows, and I was part of it. So, not to say that you have to go to this extreme to be creditable, but when you're going to sell your stuff. I mean, it's hard enough that these lights are a fortune. I can't actually go see them. They're not in my local fish store. You know what I mean? I can't, like, I mean, I know these lights work because I know guys that use them basically. And I have to take their word if I want to go spend $3,000 to light my tank. So it's, the whole model sucks, Perry. I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? I just don't like the way
Well,
it is.
if I could, I'll chime in and save you here, buddy, because I love you, Rich.
Yeah.
Listen, man. Here's the deal. I look at this. This is how I approach life on every single level. It's not just reef keeping. I look at everything through this same lens. And to me, I am in a place of, do I really need it in life? And do I really need what they tell me I need? Do I? Okay. I'll give you one example. This sun gazing, right? You're going to go blind. Really? All right. How come I can look at it for 30 minutes straight and no blindness? In fact, my floaters have disappeared. Okay. Okay. But I'm supposed to be blind right now. We can go with the
I'm supposed to have
industry.
high cholesterol.
We can exactly. We could go with what all these people are telling us, but there is no doctor that knows your body better than you do. There's nobody who could possibly
Yeah.
quantify what is going on in your own personal experience more than you. And what's going on with your reef keeping and everything else. And yes, in the day and age of influencers and those out there pimping reef gear, it's what it is. This channel was designed to be the antithesis of that. This channel was designed to be, I'm trying to showcase what you can do on no budget, literally nothing, and show that you can still have the most beautiful acropora. And listen, like you, if I think something's working, I'm going to say it. I'm
Mhm.
going to say it. And it's not because I'm sponsored, it's because I believe that it's working. And there's many products that I hold in that same sort of, in that same sort of vein, if you will. Um, I
I,
think
I you
that's where
know,
we're at.
I think honestly, I'm pretty excited at the point when I get to the point where I actually do switch my display over to LED. Right now, if I had to do it today, I would probably do like 4 Radeon G6 Blues XR30s with the 2 blades that I have. I think that'll be enough coverage. Maybe do 5, we'll see, but they're expensive retail. I gotta see if I get some kind of hookup or something like that, but, um, I wanna document it really well. Like, I'm gonna take pictures of corals from weekly basis because I already know what's gonna happen to them because I have these corals in other systems. I don't think other people realize this is like they don't realize the change from halide to LED with the same water quality, the same water running through the systems. So I want to show that on some of them. You could see like within like 2 months when you see the highlights develop from the LED, they're like different corals. Like some of these tables suck under halide. They're like muted pale pink, and you put them under LED and they turn like man, they glow. It's like it's crazy. But I'm excited to chart that whole progress. That'd be pretty cool for people to see. Who I mean, listen, halide is like an imaginary thing from it's not attainable in people's minds. It's an old relic for most people. It's not a reality. So to see the change, it's probably the who else is going to be doing stuff like that? Not too many guys anymore these days. There's only a handful of us left. So be cool to see. Um,
I mean, some of this too is, we get into that place where it becomes eye of the beholder. It becomes, it becomes perception based, how you interpret colors, and versus how another interprets colors. And, you do have some of these subtle nuances, and good on you. Like you said, you can actually quantify that through your own observation and through actually proving that you're doing one in one and one in the other. So I think that's pretty incredible because you at least have that ability to make that sort of discernment
yeah.
over what you interpret or perceive to be better.
Well, that's why I want to
Because
share it because I'm not saying I know what's happening or I know, I just want to share it because to document it because who knows how long, I'll have this amount of tanks. Maybe I'll have it long term, maybe I'll get bored of it in 2 years. But I just want to show the journey and let people decide for themselves what happens. I know there's drastic differences because I've been playing here and there with these corals. I want people, again, now when you watch people talk about halides like the good old days and they haven't ran halides in 15 years and then they're looking at LEDs today, they don't have a true comparison. Looking at a Disney or a Lattistello or some kind of multicolored tenuous today under a Radion, you don't remember we didn't have that when halide was going on back then. You know what? The coral would be singular colors. You're not going to get 4 different colors out of your tenuous under a halide easily. I'm not saying you can't. I mean, if you carbon dose enough and you got the right amount of feeding, you can. Like in my
Mhm.
old system, I did briefly, probably for about 6 months, that thing looked insane. And then my work schedule didn't allow me to feed the way that I was feeding. And, I had no consistency. And then I would
Mhm.
get shades of red and greens pop up, but I couldn't hold it after that. But with the LEDs, you hold it in perpetuity. Like people seem to just keep those rainbow colors all the time for whatever reason, whatever the light does to the coral.
Well, you've got what I would like to say spectral forgiveness is what I'm gonna call it. And I know I don't mean to intend to upset anybody by saying that, but when you take, like Alan just said, 65K, go look at these tanks. Most of these tanks that look insane. Let's slap some 65Ks because you
Oh,
should still be able to see layers and layers, like you were talking
no.
before, layers of colors inside of that white light, that yellow light,
We'll see
that
layers of
amber.
brown.
Yeah, and like I've seen, like, so I've had all your Disneys in my old system. I've had all of those tenuous. I had them under T5s. I had 10 T5s blasting on that tank, and I was getting colors that were like
Yeah.
mind bending. And
Yeah.
but see, what I was seeing is I was seeing different layers that I would never be able to see in LED. I was seeing subtleties that can't be captured under that white hue. So, it's like, and again, we kind of go back to that eye of the beholder, right? So it's, what do you say?
He said all
All the
colors of the
colors.
rainbow make brown.
It's
Hold on.
true.
I got to take a bathroom break. Be back in 1 second.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I think the sun, probably, if I could find a way in the future of at least getting an hour or two or whatever I could possibly gather, that would be brought into my photosynthetic period. But Alan, if you're there right now, I'm now blasting with the Coral Light from KZ, which is a 10K. It probably looks more like a 6500K. It's very white, and paired up with the Fiji purple. You better be ready for some old school look. But like my eyes have already adapted back. It took a few days for me to like look at it from the Reef Breeders, and say that I didn't want to fight every desire to put the Reef Breeders back on from what my eyes liked looking at it, nice and glossy. But I will tell you, when I switched actinic mode, I can't believe what I see. And like I'm looking across the room right now, and my tank is blowing up right now in color. But my T5s have put a lot of energy down on that reef today, and and I think that that's why the colors come through when the blue comes on. So
So let me ask
I
you.
guess it's all, like I said, it's perception based. I think in order for there's no forgiveness under white light, Rich. When you get into those anywhere from 3,500 Kelvin, and then you get all the way up into I'd say about 20K, anywhere in those ranges. If you're not really where you need to be from a nutrient standpoint, or if something's off, yeah, you're right. It is going to be a nice looking brown effect that you're going to see. So
Now you ran Reef Breeders on your old tank, right? The one with all the
this one
smoothies.
right here,
No, the previous one with all the when you did the
I
acro
did.
spotlight.
I I
Okay, and
I
then
go back and forth constantly.
so now compared Reef Breeders to T5. What was like the biggest differences you saw in the colors of the corals between the two?
Okay, good question. All right, so color wise, you wouldn't even be able to tell that I took the T5s and swapped it out for the Reef Breeders and back and forth from the top looking down. The problem that I ran into, and it's nothing against Reef Breeders or any LED manufacturer, the problem I ran into is the underside of the corals.
Yes.
The ones that want to table out, I have an aquamarine jewel by Greg Hillers that I had to flip upside down because it broke off. I mounted it, I put it upside down, and it got used to that color. It transitioned under the Reef Breeders, got nice, and it was starting to go towards its aquamarine jewel color. Underneath became brown. So when I turned it to put it back in the position to where it was essentially should have been like a table, it was the underside that was not being lit by the Reef Breeders. And if I showed you, and I'll take a picture tomorrow and send it to you so you can see what I'm dealing with, it is the ugliest tissue I've ever seen. And this is why I switched. And it's nothing against Reef Breeders, dude. I love their light. We talked about this with
Yeah.
Alan. If I can't get a fixture that's going to give me the angles with LED, that's going to give me the angles into the reef, then I'm not going to use it. I mean, it's like in botany, it's why people are now doing under canopy lighting and stuff like that, is because it puts a flat canopy down. Now we talked about the blades, and I'm really interested to learn more about the blades, because based on what you're telling me, it gives a T5 effect, and you're
Yeah,
seeing
they're
you're
great.
seeing that light underneath the coral.
What's nice is they're such low profile too. It's just I don't know. Honestly, I would run them over my display. I would slap like 6 or 7 blades over my 200 gallon. I wouldn't even hesitate to do it if I switched to LED. I think the results you get from blades are on par with Radions or some other Reef Breeders or some top LED. And the reason why I say it's not only my own tank, my local fish store, they have 2 tanks. By the way, they're the exact same tanks I have behind me here. That's where I
Yeah.
saw these 2 tanks, and I ordered them right after I saw them in his shop, and he lit both of them. Now he's out of his mind. Because he gets like a real hookup with blade with AI. He put 6 blades over each tank. There's only a 24-inch width, so there's so many blades widthwise it actually overhangs the front of
Holy
the tank.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have 4 on there and it's complete coverage, but he lights both of the tanks with those, and it's been about I want to say about a year since he's had that running, and now on his other SPS tanks he has G6 Radeon Blues, and his colors are just as good in both tanks. It really he doesn't sacrifice a thing in either system. Um, so as you know, when I, and plus what I experienced myself, I don't feel like the only thing I could see maybe like one of those puck type lights would do. Maybe you could get like a higher par on a higher tank if you need to punch down. But that's about it. It's pretty cool. They get a little pricey when you get a lot, obviously, but in a smaller tank, like in a 36-inch tank or a 24-inch tank, super economical. No heat, and like a lot of different mounting options too.
Well, I've heard about Luca's array and how he has a fixture that has like a half a moon. What I was talking about with Alan, where they're coming at different angles. If you use his series of I guess is it bars or kind of like blades or whatever. I'm not really all that familiar with them, but I've heard good things about that design. And to me, that was always going to make sense because my only issue with LEDs that I've seen personally is that I don't like what I see on the underside of the coral.
Yeah.
And to me, when I'm thinking of from a gardening perspective, if I'm having an issue with the roots of my plant, typically I'm going to be having an issue above the soil as I am below. And to me, I put the base of the coral and where it sort of does its thing onto the rock. I put that into the same category for the coral as the root system. And to me, I feel like with T5 that I've just always used them, man. To be honest with you, it's probably one of those things where I've used them and I've just been so
I love
successful with them. It's just hard not to walk away from them.
I get
That's really what it boils
the
down to.
densest growth under my T whenever whatever tanks I did all T5 like an ATI power module, sun power. I got the densest growth, like the most branches on a colony in the shortest amount of time because there is no shadow. They like, grow every which direction. I
Hmm.
just wanted to address one of these questions here.
Go ahead.
What the heck is it? Wait, one. I want to go back. Shit. Oh, somebody said something about the red LED. I don't. So
Alan said
on
something about the far red LED.
Yeah, so on these G6 blues, the red is zero all day. I don't run reds. Why? Even though, you guys
I
explained to
know
me
I
this
can
once.
tell. I kind of know why on that.
I was just
Soft
copying
white.
pieces of the ocean. I couldn't tell you other besides copying pieces of the ocean. I really don't know why. Um, so I don't know. Probably it could be right, could be wrong. What do I know? But there's somebody wanted to talk about the A8 SE lights. Now that's the China knockoff kind of Radeon types that I have here. Now these lights here. They are basically Radeons as far as output and spread. I just want to show somebody this. This here, these actually aren't the A8 SEs. These is another model, but it's the same kind of thing. These are called X30 Blues, which are now discontinued. So the light that replaced this is called an A8 SE2 Pro
Okay.
Max or whatever. So this array of LED here mimics a G5 blue to the T, right? Um, and I've had these running on here. I think it's like almost 8.5, 9 months now. Now these have been flawless. However, I had another batch of them with a different lot number that I had on this tank, and all three of them, the blue LED channels broke on me. So
Huh.
they sent me new LED boards, so I can't say they didn't take. The customer service was there, but you got to keep in mind these lights are. This particular model was $260 a piece. Now, if you come over here, this is a regular A8 SE. Now this mimics a G5 Pro. It's ramping down now. This light was $165 shipped. Now I have this going on almost 2 years now because it's just on a 25 gallon. Um,
Wow.
I don't know. They discontinued this light, but for an economical freaking choice, for $165, you throw five of those over a 200-gallon tank and you're done. You know. But anyway, to answer the question, these are no different than a G5 Radeon Blue. They the same par, the same spread. See, the T5s are off right now, so you're looking at just a dimming. The lights go off soon, so this is just a dimming effect of the LED. There's complete coverage with three of them on a 5-foot tank. Um, I mean, and these were the more expensive ones. These come with the Meanwell drivers. You see back there. Okay. Um, can't complain. I mean, it cost me what did I pay? 260 a piece. So it's, the three of them for less than the price of one real Radeon, and I got a used T5 hood with it. So it's like $1,000 to light this tank. And it grows corals like a weed. I get, peak colors out of it. So, I mean, they might break tomorrow, and I'll be like, shit. Now I got to buy new lights. But so far, so good. I just wanted to.
Yeah. So Ari said the meridians don't have the red or green. I'm wondering, if they're getting the
Multi
if
channels.
they're getting that not the cool white, but the soft white lighting. If they have two different whites on them, a soft and a daylight, probably you're getting a lot of that red and green and that amber color. That's probably why they discontinued the R, and that's probably why you're not needing to use on the G6. It's probably why you don't need to use the red and green channels based on
I think
what people.
the warm light hits that spectrum, I believe.
It's the warm lights covering that spectrum, is what I'm thinking.
And,
Yeah.
and, and even Delua has like multi chips on their lights. So like you put up one LED and there's like five different colors in there. So you hit all kinds of spectrum with each diode. It's pretty crazy.
Right. And you probably, with a more red spectrum, if you were to put too much red in there, it's gonna influence the branching and the structure of the actual coral itself, probably too. It's probably the internodal spacing is gonna be different. The branching spacing and everything else it would be probably more compact under more red spectrum, whereas under that blue, tends to elongate, like the coral might be looking for more light, so it tends to want to elongate its branching. So those are things we can do to sort of tweak the corals to fit, sort of like what our eye is, if we want to do that, which is pretty interesting. My stuff is pretty much squat. It's
What's
because it makes sense,
oh,
yeah, it makes sense that it's more horizontal and it's more compact because the plant is getting so much of that spectrum, it doesn't have to extend itself. It's more than satisfied. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. At least from a gardening world perspective. So that kind of, yeah, that measures up in my mind, at least, Alan. Um, yeah.
let's
So
see.
any particular goals for 2026 for you?
Just maintain, Perry. I don't want to kill anything. Listen, I want to keep it steady, and just kind of let the tank do its thing. I kind of like the path I'm going on right now. Eh, if I do change the lighting on the display at some point, um, I'm not. I run into another dilemma. I am convinced that the purple monster will die under an LED. So far, nobody has been able to keep it alive long term in LED, and the people that have tried have killed it off. So I don't want to lose that coral from existence of the hobby. So if I do put LED on that tank soon, that coral's going to come out of that tank, and I'm going to probably put it in the frag tank and put a halide over that coral in particular, and maybe run one corner of the tank run halide. It's a pain in the ass, but I feel like I'm obligated to keep that coral going. And I think the light is key because I mean, I don't see another reason why every advanced hobbyist killed it off when I mean I grew that coral in a 34-gallon nano that I dosed manually. I mean, had it in every tank basically. It wasn't hard to keep alive. And now all these advanced guys are killing it with LEDs. So I'm pretty convinced that's the reason. A lot of guys will say no, but show me the coral in the LED. Nobody seems to do it. Anyway, that's that.
So Alan said, let's see here. I'm gonna go rotate T5 bulbs each month, alternate them. Probably need the UV. I need to try one. Yeah, you can you can add those in. You just need I think you probably want to put it on a timer though, Alan. Like I wouldn't put it on the over the UVA or the UVB, the reptile light, if that's the one you're referring to. I wouldn't put it over more than a couple 2 to 3 hours a day. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how it affects. It's definitely going to put that radiation, that radiative type of energy, it's certainly going to put that down on the reef, sort of like what a halide does. Um, yeah, it's really interesting to sort of understand that dynamic. I think that's why the corals like it. It's that energy that they're getting. It's there's something that's coming through on that halide bulb. Even though your eyes seem, like your eyes are tuned indifferently for what you prefer and the colors that you like seeing. And then, of course, the way the colors are stacking under LED. So it makes sense. It's really all in the eye of the beholder.
The visual
I think
brightness,
LED.
the visual brightness of halide is like, so if you compare like 500 par to 500 par from halide to LED, the halide looks so much brighter visually. Your eye picks up that spectrum, where the LED, especially if you're heavy in the UV channel, you don't see any brightness with the UV channel. You see the par. If I ramp my UV up, the par shoots up 150. I don't see a difference in brightness. That was pretty interesting. Like visually, at least they don't look as bright. Well, halide looks brighter, actually, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean it's I think at this point, I mean it's safe to say, I mean, you and many others have shown, proven, I mean, we don't really need to say anything with respect to how the LEDs are working in the industry. I just think it's just different, and I
Yeah,
think we
yeah.
can all get to the same place. I would just say that you probably need a few more, like you've got plenty of light going down on those corals, and obviously they're responding and they're pretty damn happy. So, and in the end, you just can't beat the proof being in the pudding. And that's what I like about that old saying is when you look at the corals, they're glowing, and that's what matters. They're happy,
Mm,
and so you're doing a tremendous job. It's
thanks,
nice
bro.
to have the benefit of having T5s and LED as a hybrid on one system, being able to have just LED, and then being able to have T5 comboed up as well. I mean, it's
Those
like
T5
every.
hybrids are hard to find, man. You got to like hit the marketplace for them. They stopped making them.
Well, what is your thought? Like, so the outside of, have you ever done T5 as the main driver, like ATI as the driver with bars on the outside of it, like
Yeah,
for the
so
actinic?
two tanks I did that. On my old cube, I actually got rid of the halide at one point, and I had a 10 bulb ATI with two Reef brights, and I ran that for I don't know, a little over a year. And then on that 34-gallon Solana, that was all T5 on that. That was a 24-inch power module on that tank. No, I love old T5. I think it's great. With today's corals, I couldn't tell you the rendering of the colors compared to LED because I don't have them side by side to compare. I actually had a brand new 60-inch ATI SunPower sitting in a box for 2 years. I sold it. Somebody was breaking my chops locally for it, and honestly, I just got tired of looking at the box. I was like, I'm not going to run this thing anytime soon, and I sold it. And I probably shouldn't have done that, but somebody really wanted it, so I don't know comparison wise with T5 to LED. I couldn't really comment on it, but we certainly know it works.
No, 10 T5s. That's sick.
Yeah,
Was
they used
that
to
was
make
that the
that.
old power module, that 10 bulb unit, or?
Yeah, yeah, old power module. They used to make it years ago. It was wild, man. So that tank was 32 inches by 32 inches by 26 inches high. So I used to run a 400-watt halide on there with the Reef brights and the T5s, and then I swapped that out for the 10 bulb power module. And now I didn't hit the same peak par right under the halide, but the par through the whole tank was like, if you just like did like a grid of numbers, it was like 50% more with the T5 because there was no low spots. I mean, the whole tank was like, again, now I was busy working. I had a busy business at the time, and there were times I didn't even get to see the tank with the lights on or feed the fish, and I'd bottom out the nutrients. Everything would go pastel, and I'd get base STN, and I was running a Ferrari engine with no gas. You know what I mean? So, um, eventually I crashed and burned with it, but that was my own fault.
Yeah, it's just they're just different lights, man. Like I've got that unit. I've got six T5s blasting with a 75-watt LED bar over a tank that's only, what is it, 15 inches front to back, but it's only 13 inches tall. But my water level's an inch and a half below the glass, and it's mounted at 16 inches above the tank. So that would be equivalent to putting it over a 24-inch tank and dropping it to 3 inch or 2 inches above the water line,
Wait, so
which
their
would
tank is
be
40? Is it 48? How
36
what?
inches long.
36 by what?
It's 36 by 15 front to back
15 and
and by
16 high.
13
13 high.
tall.
Your tank is made for blades, dude. It's the dimensions made for blades.
Oh, I had a buddy of mine that gave me all these A cans that I had, and
16.
he swears on these things. He and I saw his tanks lit up under him, and I mean
I mean, three
everything was
blades,
incredible.
two grows, one glow. You would be your mind would blow. It's just insane. It would be so sick on your tank. 16 front to back, three blades, be awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's a lot of light. I mean, it would be like right now I've got a coral that's like literally 16 inches from the T5s from the bulb. 16 inches. That's
16.
close. That's real
How
close.
high is the light off the water?
It's only 16 inches off the
Oh,
water.
the fixture's 16 inches off the water. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But the tank's only 12 inches deep from the water line. So it's 16 inches above the water line. The tank's only 12 inches from the water line to the bottom. So that's only 28 inches total. So it would, or yeah, 28. So it would be like 4 inches
Yeah, you would
mounting
run
height.
like with an LED, like with the blades, you'd probably be running them at like 40% because they rest right on top of the tank. I mean, there's a hanging kit, but you could like rest them right on the glass and just like
Mhm.
you wouldn't need the additional spread by hanging them higher, but you'd have to reduce the intensity because you'd smoke things, be too
Well, that was
close.
like the Reef breeder. Like I had it at the same mounting height, and I was burning quarrels at that mounting height without even running. I was only running it like maybe 80% on royal blue, 30% I think is what I was peaking on white. So it was a little intense on the whites
Yeah.
and the red and green. But I like that whiter color, so I was trying to drive a whiter appearance. But like I said, man, I swapped it out for the T5 and the corals that were pissed off. They're freaking man. Them
That's
A
awesome.
cans are the fluffiest. You would think A cans would like LED more than T5. You would think. I mean, and maybe they do, but in my system, what I'm seeing, they've fluffed up tremendously. I mean, they've gotten so puffy and so fat and open, and literally like the edges that were burnt are healing, and it's and
Wow.
it's only a matter
Nice.
of a week.
Wow.
It's insanity. Like what I'm seeing happening, the transition I'm watching happening on the Reef right now. So once I switch back to T5s, uh, on literally almost every
Yeah,
coral
I
that's in
wouldn't. I would never
system.
think that. I would think the opposite. I would think they would shrivel up under the T5 because it's more par, more illumination, and I always get more extension in my A cans when I shade them.
But it's a soft light, and it's like in botany, that's why a lot of people use them. In the vegetative stage, they use them because you can literally put the plant, like, can touch the bulb and it won't burn the plant. So with LED, you got to make a contention because of that point light source. So you have those factors that play in, and those are the things that enter into my brain, and it's what I think. Like I said, I think LEDs are killer. There's no problem with them. I mean, I think they're insanely good.
Just the
It's
price
just
is the only thing that sucks.
well, I mean, dude, when you have a T5 sitting there, it's my fault for having the damn unit still around. Because if I didn't have it around, the reef breeders would still be up, and I would have found a way to make it work. And it's not that it doesn't work; it works wonderfully. It's just like I said, when you turn these corals upside down and you look at the underside of them, definitively, dude, definitively. And I know that there are LEDs that don't do that. It's just not that wasn't my experience. So
Yeah,
maybe I'm
I don't
doing
see
something.
it. I don't see it in the blade tank at all. When you said that last time, I was looking. The tissue underneath looks healthy for now. I mean, maybe when they get bigger, that won't be the case. But so far, so good. But in the Radeon tank too. But I have T5s with that, so that's I run those
Yeah,
T5s.
exactly.
I run a 5 hour peak with those. So
Yeah, my
the
buddy Matt swears on it, dude. He's got I think the G6s is what he's got.
pros or
And
blues.
he's got the blues with the I think he's got the blues with the T5 with T5. So what he did is he listened and said, and he's pushing the ABS with the purple plus, and he's so stoked because he's like driving the whites through the T5. So he's kind of reversing the mindset where a lot of people want to use the blue plus and maybe an actinic with their T5s. I convinced him to do the reverse. I said, why don't you put your the majority of your white spectrum, see if you can't encompass that through the ABS and through the purple plus. You'll know you're covered from A to Z in the white spectral range, and then you can lean on the blues for the majority of the G6. You know, lean on that blue spectrum because from what I hear, they're insanely beautiful. I mean, his colors are insane too,
No,
like
Alan's
yours.
saying he should have went with Radeon Pros. I'm curious to know why. You know, because last year I actually bought 3 Radeon Pros and I threw them over this shallow frag tank. This one that's plummeted to my display. It's only 16 inches high, and that was my first experience with the G6s. Period. And I just didn't like the color in a shallow tank. It was like, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing with them. I ended up selling them off prematurely, but curious to know why Alan likes the pros over the
I
blues.
probably because of the warm. He probably, I knowing him, he's probably after that warm white tone. Isn't that the difference between the Radeon Pro versus the blue? That it doesn't have the blue doesn't have the warm white spectrum.
The oh shit. The blue has more blue LEDs. And
Oh, okay, that's
so
what it
basically
is.
if you go 100% on all the channels on a blue, you're at AB plus spectrum.
Oh, okay,
Where
okay.
on a pro, it's like 23% on the whites and the greens and the yellows, so in other words, if you want to get 700 par out of a pro, you're ramping up the whites. Where 700 par out of a blue, you're still a very blue spectrum, you know what I mean? But I don't know, I see some guys run the pros and they don't necessarily run the super high par than the guys with the blues will, and they still get phenomenal colors like Pieces of the Ocean. You go there, he has pros all over, and there's no lack of color in his store. His shit is popping. So, it always makes me like, oh, am I making a mistake getting the blues? Should I get the pros? And then Alan says this. Now I'm gonna pick Alan's brain, because it's a big expense to make that commitment. I mean,
Better distribution than Reds. Yeah, he keeps bringing up the Reds, so I'm tending to believe that there's something probably more that he's been diving into in the red spectrum.
he says he used the G4 Pros at 100%. That's probably because he feeds his corals so well. Because I had G4 Pros back in 2016 or 17 in my old cube, and I ran those suckers. I tried to pass like 70%. I was burning everything, but I wasn't feeding like he was, and I didn't have the understanding like he does. I was starving the corals.
I wonder if mounting height too probably has to do with some stuff like that too, right? The distribution
Sure.
is,
Yeah.
you know, that could also play into that. Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating. It's all fascinating either way. It's to me, it's all lighting's fascinating to me. I mean, like I said, if I could have my way, I would just use the sun and know that, like, call it a day. I mean,
Did you see that video, Perry? Did you see the guy with the 40-foot tank? The guy Steve. He was on. You got to look on. Worldwide Corals did the video yesterday. Dude, he's got a 40-foot outdoor tank. It's so freaking insane, dude.
oh man,
Sunlit, man, sunlit. I mean, algae filtered. It's sick, dude. I mean, look, the inside. He has like metal problems. Like the corals aren't the most beautiful, and then the sunlight rendering. Everything looks kind of brown except for the pinks and purples. But it's so sick. The fish swim like they have 40-foot length. They like thoroughbreds. You know.
Morgan Cordain, welcome into the chat from New Orleans. Nice. CRT. Let's see, what did he say? Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, man. I mean, it like I said, it's all interesting. I'm probably in the future. I'm like I said, when I set up, I'm going to definitely try to incorporate a little bit more of the sun into the tank. Um,
Yeah, I'd love to
we'll
see
see what
that.
happens. We'll see what life brings. Steve Garland, what's up? Oh, what's up, dude? What do you go? I got
Because
questions. Have you looked into the refis? I know you're not running Radions, but still the reef breeders and T5 spectrum wise, they blow most of the other ones out of the water. Huh. Yeah,
I've
the reef
seen
breeder, man.
reefers.
Like I said, the reef breeder. Just so you know, I've been using interchanging between the reef breeder and a 6 bulb T5 unit, and typically I can go in back and forth with that without a beat, missing a beat. So I've been able to find the right spectrum in that reef breeder that can match exactly what I'm looking for in T5. And I can literally in the summertime, I like what I've been doing is like the wintertime I'm using T5s, and the summertime I'm going to be using the reef breeder. to, because in Florida it gets very hot here, and for me to try to do T5s and have to run the AC during the wintertime makes no sense. So, or vice versa. You get at what I'm saying. In the summertime, running T5s, my AC is just going to be running all day. So that's kind of what I've been doing, believe it or not. I've I swap them back and forth, and I really don't see much of a difference. The only difference, like I said, is that bottom of the coral and the shading on corals that tend to want to plate out. Other than
Yeah.
that, I would say it's an even swap. It's one for the other.
So to address Steve Garland with the refis, I've seen them. My buddy had them on a 90-gallon tank that was plumbed into a bigger system, and I don't know if he ran enough of them, but there was like a big disco effect on his tank. Now I think he had the narrow optics. I think they sell a wider optic. That could have been the issue. I think there's like a 90 and a 120. I'm not really sure. I never looked into it, but at first glance, with his optics, I wasn't impressed. And if you have to get a lot of units, it's certainly not cheap if you have to stack them. So, you're back at the dilemma of all LEDs, like blanket coverage. You got to pay. It's
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
like
and I
these.
think that's where the bars, like you're saying, with the blades, and like
Well, they're
from what I've
pricey
heard about
on a long
about
runs.
the, like, forget the name of Lucas, but you know what I'm saying. Like
Quanta.
the quantums, yeah. So I've heard a lot of them today. Well, yeah, come on, Perry. Today was 80. I know, dude. It was 80 today. I know. Yeah, my tank went up to about 80, a little over 80 degrees today. Just about 80 degrees. No problem. I think I've started to notice. I think we run our tanks a little bit too cool. I think we should probably run them a
Yeah.
little warmer,
That's what I
personally.
wanted to talk to Alan about. I wish we were in like a group chat because you know what? My tank is locked 66, 70, 76, 77. It's locked. And I hear you guys speaking about the temperature and the energy, and it makes sense. I just don't know the effect or what to do. Do I ramp it up? Do I bring it down even more? I don't know the philosophy behind the temperature incorporated with everything else. You know, it's really a job for Alan to explain to us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it. So here's the thing, and Alan can throw in his sense too. Um, when I'm thinking of a system like Alan's, right, or yours, like something that is moving some serious amount of nutrients, with some big colonies, um, I think that's like, if it was my system, I might raise the temperature 1 or 2 degrees to push that a little bit further, because I think if you push that temperature up a little bit, your bacteria is going to multiply, right? I mean, bacteria likes warmer
Yeah.
water, and so it's going to multiply faster. Now, you got to remember the negative stuff is also. So you've got kind of that, give or take thing. Probably some of the nuisance bacterias are going to also be amplified in warmer temperatures too.
Mhm.
But to me, I would say if you're using sort of like a bacteria carbon dose system, that'd be a good time to let that temperature come up a little bit if you wanted to push on the pedal to the metal a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, being that I just had that potential pathogen, if it even is, if it's not a boring allergy, or if it's not a parasite, whatever it is, I'm definitely not going to try it now. But it makes sense, and driving bacterial populations, it all makes sense to do that and to like ramp it up. But I'm also like bottoming out on nitrates right now, so right now is not a good time to even try it because I'll probably just bottom out the nutrients even more, by bringing up the temperature. I think if it in theory, I don't know.
Yeah, he said the same thing. Yeah, because you got more um, biology, bacteria. Yeah, it's going to amplify the microbiome, and if you're trying to push the food, push the energy coming down on the tank, you could really amplify the lighting and really drive that system at that point in time. I think that's kind of where I was leaning in on, and that's why I kind of took a reverse concept to my system, and decided to kind of go the opposite way and maybe like slow things down a little bit until the system decided
Hmm.
that it wanted more, and then I can start delivering more when the need arrives, both from a mineral and from a nutrient standpoint.
Alan says
But
low temps
temps
with
would.
full light spectrum. Yeah, I mean, Alan, that's the safe bet. That's kind of It's kind of what I go to, it's like, all right, could I speed it up? Probably. Could I kill everything? Probably. So, it's going
True.
good enough, man, I don't even like that frag tank. I'm only running those radions like I think I'm like 55%. The par on the top. I mean, it's a shallow tank. During the peak with the T5s on, I'll see 500 par across the top of the upper corals. So I mean, I know the guy's running 700 par and 800. Like Cunningham was running like 800 par on his tank.
Oh,
But the
I
guy
know.
was
Yeah.
literally dumping quarts of food into his tank, and he has Alan as his neighbor. So Alan's like giving him food. I mean, you know, I mean, when I opened Cunningham's, I bought frags from him a couple years ago. When I opened those frags in the bag, man, those colors were popping, dude. I got a home wrecker from him. The polyps were out. The things were like, I mean, they were like peak color. You could tell like suntan colors and everything. I had a solar millie, solar flare millie, and a Palmer's blue millie. It was all like, like you can only go down from here. It's like shit. I'll look at the coral at the most colorful it's going to be in a long time. But he does that crazy par. He had an extreme high nutrient level and he fed all kinds of shit. So he ran that kind of balance, and that's like redlining in a different way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can. Yeah, that's the thing. You can redline to the higher levels or the lower levels, right? And that's what some people
Yeah,
used to be put off by Zeovit because they felt like they were running that razor's edge from a low standpoint. You
yeah,
know, so it's all good. I think if you find something that seems to work for you, like you find a recipe that puts you in a good safe zone all the way around. To me, that's probably where I would probably rest as well.
yeah.
So I
Well,
think you're probably doing the right thing.
well, this brings me to your next guest, Rebel Reef. Dude, I'm excited to hear him because
You're muted.
sorry, I had a phone call. Yeah, do you hear me
Oh,
now? Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like looking at his tank right now, I don't know how he runs his tank. I don't know anything about it, but I admire it. And looking at
Uh, all right. Let's see here. Oh, you there?
yeah, I'm here. So I was getting a voicemail and it like booted me out of the chat.
Yeah, I got my picture lost somehow. I don't even know. I don't even. It doesn't really matter at this point. But no, man. Yeah, I was hearing what you were saying, and then you kind of locked out. You want to go back and try to remember
Yeah.
what you were just saying?
So I was talking about Rebel Reefs. Now I think his tank. I'm hoping anyway. I think it would be like a more sustainable way to run a tank with a balance like his. Like it looks like it's substantially cleaner, lower nutrient. I mean, you know what? I'm talking out of my ass right now because who knows? The guy could feed everything. He's got like some pretty hard to keep fish, but in general, those faster growing species and the lower nutrient level, I've always found like more sustainable. I could take a vacation, come back, and my tank would look normal. If I leave right now, if I don't have one of my buddies stay here, everything would go to shit very fast. This tank is like, I baby these systems. I feed them frozen every day, and my skimmer, it skims fairly. Like I fill my skimmer cup probably in like 2.5 days. It's full, and then I clean the neck. I don't. I mean, it would be a big difference if I leave for a week when I do go on a vacation because then I'll be dry skimming and I won't be skimming nearly as much. The tank will be getting the fed the same way. So, you know, my point I'm trying to make is that when I come back, it would be a big difference. Where I think like a tank run with the energy that he runs, I see an up there. So I'm curious to hear his methods. At some point I'm gonna have to run my reef closer to that type of energy if I have to go places for a little bit. Either that or I'll just have my buddy stay here and Be like, here's the credit card. You buy yourself dinner. You stay at my house, and that's it.
Hey, yeah, man. Just send me a ticket, a plane ticket, and I'll
Yeah,
be right there, brother. No,
and
I'm just kidding.
I would feel totally safe.
No, I don't know. No, you come back and yeah, no, it'd probably be not a good thing.
I'd have
Um,
sunlight on my
I, I,
curls.
I wouldn't even know where to begin with some of the tech, man. Like I would be like, what? I'd be lost. But
What
no,
did
it's
Mark
all
say?
good.
AF4 feeder is a game changer. What's an AF4 feeder? Is that a frozen fish food feeder? AF4?
Aqua Forest, A4 feeder, a
Yeah,
game changer. I'm not sure. Mark,
Mark,
well,
what's
can
the
you
AF4?
elaborate on that? An AF, it's an Aqua Forest 4 feeder. I'm
Must
not
be a
sure
Trojan.
what it sounds like. Is it a feeder, like a type of feeder, like where
Oh,
and
IND Aquatics. That's the frozen fish food feeder. I was just thinking too, like even without like a frozen fish food feeder, I was thinking like potentially putting some kind of pollution concoction on a dosing pump. Something maybe a magnetic stirrer, and put a dosing pump to it, and put like some reefroids and some other crap in there. I don't know.
I was going to tell you, bro, if you go back years ago and look at an Italian style of making your own food called the Papone method,
Yeah, I know Papones with the
you
oyster.
could
Yep.
probably lock in probably all of the stuff you were talking about earlier from a fatty acid and lipid standpoint. You could
Ah,
probably it probably would be very well encompassed into a Papone method. And then you got the ability, because I think with a Papone they added sugar to it, if I remember correctly. And
yeah,
that
sugar. I remember oyster, and remember back in the day when everybody thought the Italians put growth hormone in their tank, human growth hormone. Remember that that whole
I do. I do.
because they grew corals out of the water. It was like, oh, they're putting growth hormone in their tanks.
It was like the Polish, man. Like I knew a bunch of Polish reefers, man, and it's like, when whatever they got in their water, man, they need to bottle it and sell it. And now Aquaforce sells their premixed water, which is pretty interesting. Um, but no, I got a chance to know all those cats pretty well, man. I was really fortunate to get to know Deborah and Sever and Chimmick from Pacific Sun.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was able to really get to know those guys and understand the European model and way of doing things. And one of the questions I asked them too, one of the first questions I asked them is, "Do you use a filter sock?" And ironically, they didn't believe in it. They thought, no filter socks. So yeah, that was an interesting takeaway. But I don't use them either anymore. I've decided that at this point, for me, protein skimmer. I pulled the carbon too, bro. I don't have active carbon, zeolite. I pulled all of it. I pulled everything except for I have a protein skimmer, lights, and a tank, and then I have a bubble magus doser to put A and B. We'll see what happens.
How much A and K do you dose?
Which ones?
You said you dose A and K. Did I hear that right?
No, A and B. Just
Oh,
the
the two bar.
BRS A and B.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
said A and K. I'm sorry.
No. I've got the A and K from Tropic Marin, but I don't really dose it.
Yeah.
I'm putting in 1 drop every 3 days of sponge power, one 0.5 milliliter a week of flatworm stop, and then a couple drops of coral vitalizer a couple times a week, and that's all I'm gonna do. Nothing else. And then, after that, I feed Larry's, and I'll chop that up super
If
fine,
if you
and
get
I feed that.
curious, if you feel like tinkering, I'm curious to hear your opinion on this stuff. I've never used this, but this shit is good, man. Wow. This is
I have to go back and refresh myself on the Brightwell's Restore. I remember it being a part of their lineup. I don't recall
not
exactly, but
popular. I didn't even know it existed.
yeah, I'm interested to see, because it's something that they're keeping on the shelf. So whatever is in it, they've figured out a way to make those lipids and fatty
Yeah,
acids
yeah. They
shelf stable. So they don't use cryptic areas in their sumps.
This is
Oh, okay.
amino acids and fatty acids derived from marine fishes and crustaceans. When you
So, Steve,
smell.
one of the things that oh, sorry, man. One of the things, Steve, that the Polish did is they would stack Siporax, and they would literally stack it in their baffles,
Mhm.
and they would try to allow the water to flow through the baffles, and that's kind of how they incorporated some of their additional filtration. A lot of them just would go with a passive biomedia, regardless of the biomedia they used, and they would sort of use that and then periodically shake it out. That's what I'm doing. I'm just servicing the sump. If you look at the way Leonardo reefs, he doesn't use filter socks, and I guess when he services or does maintenance, he just services the sump too. That's kind of like what I do. I just take a shop
His,
vac out and clean it out
his
every
coral
month or so.
mass is insane, man. He's got a coral refugium. It's probably hard for him to even have a nutrient level with all those corals growing.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Well, you're going to be running into the same issue here pretty soon, man.
Um, well, yeah, probably, but like, hopefully, actually, but little by little, I'm going to be pulling colonies out. Like I sold 2 colonies today, and the common stuff I'm going to be replacing. So over the course of the next year, I'm hoping to have actually more space in these tanks with, like, you know, the harder to grow stuff that people have, a hard time growing. So, like, smoothies and some of the tenuous, but I don't know, some of these guys grow tenuous, unbelievable. I find them extremely challenging, especially after having that copper issue. Man, like, I don't know, everything paled out, and they're coming back now, but it's just it's funny. It's like there's all these corals in the system, and like my 6 biggest tenuous colonies all went to shit, and I have, you know tables and stags and other stuff. They're all like, oh yeah, great copper, and then so they definitely, they let you know when something's wrong first.
Here you go, Rich.
Yeah,
This is mine right now. That's my only tenuous.
looks good.
Yeah, not bad. It's a
Polyps is blue and daylight. It's good.
yeah, it's one of those Matt V Cookie Monster, I think is what that
Yeah.
lineage is. My buddy Matt NSB Reef gave that to me, and that's another one, man. As soon as the T5s went on top of that one, the polyps all shot out, and the damn thing got happy as hell. So I don't know, man. It could be just a coincidence, you know.
They're a hard coral. I mean, look at a Walt Disney, right? How long has the Walt Disney been out? The thing is still expensive. Okay, it's an awesome coral when it's colored up, but like very few people grow colonies successfully. In relation to the amount of hobbyists that try it. So, you know, that's the appeal, I think, with the tenuous. You get all these. What percentage of hobbyists actually get the multi-layered colors out of a tenuous? Very few of us. To get a home record with the reds, the greens, the yellows, the pinks, or to get a panty snatcher or whatever stupid name you got for these things with all these red, green, yellow polyps. I mean, it's hard to get all the colors. Things got to be pristine and good feeding and perfect lighting and time and stability. It's whatever. It's something to aspire to. It's definitely something I'm trying to do. I'm going to I have all little boogers now because I wiped out a bunch of my tenuous, but I'm going to try and get. I want to have one of these tanks dedicated for tenuous. That's one of the goals for 26.
Well, what's your nutrient level? I mean, because isn't that something that a lot of the guys were saying back in the day is that the tenuous seemed to like the elevated phosphate, and and what not the one thing that the tenuous really loved was that phosphate. They were real big feeders, right?
You'll get contradictions to both. I've seen awesome ones and low phosphate. I've seen awesome ones and high phosphate. It's more than just the number. I think it has to do with just the amount of feeding. But in general, if I had to pick a number, I see probably the best looking tenuous in .1 phosphate, like that. The guys that run .3 that I've seen, they'll have like rounded coralites. They won't have the active growth tips. Now, there's an exception to that too. There's guys blasting them like Cunningham blasting them with 800 par, and he bypasses all that shit. You could have .6 phosphate, you give them 800 par, they're waking up. You know,
Yeah, no
that's
shit.
like, I mean, here, cherry bomb, right? Cherry bomb. That coral is notorious for looking pale. It's like the pale bomb, right? How many people have a really pink cherry bomb on the daylight? I mean, white bugs might be part of it, but it's just also, they're just a pain in the ass. A lot of times I just can't put my finger on it. When they look good, I take pictures, and then I try to remember when they look good for when they don't look good, what was different.
Yeah, I'm kind of I've got a good selection of corals. I don't have a lot, but what I have I'm happy with. I do have the what's the millie, the two-tone millie, the
Splice?
yeah, I got one of those. So it'll be neat to see what that thing does under the T5. So
Nice.
I'll be excited to see if I can't get some colors out of that. But no, I don't have a lot going on. But man, I'll tell you what, I'm really stoked with what I do have,
Cool.
and that's what really matters. Maybe down the road, I think 2026, I'm going to begin a project. I'll probably do a build along. Go old school and show people how to build a tank. How to re-steam it and how to you
Yeah.
know take an old tank that you could buy like on Facebook Marketplace or something, and and in a stand and just basics, and get a 40-gallon sump from Petco, and show people how to do a budget build, and then build this thing out, and then kind of have a build along. I think that'd be a good time.
That's awesome,
So
man. That show them some Jabo power heads and some of these cheaper lights that you could get into like a 40 gallon for less than $1,000 with like top equipment on it.
yeah, I think what I want to do, I was talking to my buddy Matt, and thankfully, he gave me, it's a 24 wide, it's only 16 inches deep. So it's a shallow tank and it's 48 inches long. So that's going to come right around 80, I think somewhere around 80 gallons or so. And so, that's a good footprint for me. I could do quite a bit of damage acro wise with something like that. So
Cool.
I think I'm going to do a minimalist look,
Yeah.
something like that. Very, very, very thin, small bommy. I'll probably take this reef out of the tank I currently have, and then I'll place the same exact reef into this other footprint. So it'll give me more width, more height, actually more in every direction. And then I'll probably put a sand bed down and make
What's
it
that
like
dimension? What's that
the
dimension?
one. Which one I have?
The other one you're talking about,
It's 48 inches long by 24 inches wide. Front to back.
and then high
So
high.
it's 16 or 18, I think. I think it's
Okay.
18 actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice footprint.
Yeah, it's perfect. A little shallow tank. Actually, it might be 16. I think
That's
it's
a
a
that's a 120 really, like cut low, a 48 by
it
24.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I man, I had a 120. I loved that footprint when I had it back in the
Me
day.
too.
So yeah, I mean, this will be a good tank to take the same reef when it grows out, and I'll put it in, and then I'll be able to put in maybe another handful of colonies and call it a day. But but yeah, man, that's pretty much what I'm thinking about for 2026. Other than that, man, I'm just going to stay in cruise control, let the tank tell me what it wants, and I'm just going to be doing my best to serve it what it's looking for. And that's kind of how I've decided to run my tanks and my gardens and everything else moving forward, is just to be a servant, just be there, whatever it needs, I'll be there for it. And
Cool.
yeah, let
Well,
it be the
actually,
master, and I'll be the
the,
slave,
the last
kind of
comment
thing.
applies. Husbandry is way more important than lights. Yeah, exactly. Perry will be doing his husbandry. So will I.
Yeah, I mean, husbandry is that's the part that I probably dig the most, is the biological aspects of reef keeping. I've always felt, I would rather lean on biology versus technology. So that's kind of been my sort of my, I guess, my thing that I would catchphrase that I would like to throw out there all the time is, is there's various different ways we can go about doing this, and as long as you're consistent and passionate, that's what matters. And and that's what this is all about. And I know you're getting tired, bro, and I am too. But we will we'll wrap this up. There's anything that you
Look
want
at
to
Alan.
address?
Alan says y'all want to swap rocks. Alan, I got a bunch of those Polyp Lab Genesis bricks in my sump, man, and that tank was started with like 90 pounds of Australian rock. It should be some good bacteria in there. Maybe some of that black fungus, whatever I have on corals, though. So don't blame me if you get it.
What did you who told me that too? That some people are bottling up their detritus and using it as an inoculant.
No,
type thing?
when I went to Pieces of the Ocean when I first started the system, I go there and I haven't seen Kenny in a long time. I used to go to Kenny before he had his storefront. I used to go to his basement in his house before he started, and we used to like buy and trade corals. And I found out he had a storefront, and when I got back into the hobby, I went over there. Anyway, I'm looking at his system, and in his sump, like, what is all that shit in your sump? I'm like, he's like, oh, it's my bacterial filtration. He's got like this much detritus. It's like a mud bed of detritus in his sump, and I'm looking at it. His skimmer's barely skimming, man. He's got like this skimmer's got more coralline than freaking dirt in it. It's barely doing anything. It's maybe a little oxygenation, and he's got a small fuse with some Chaeto. And in that particular system, the colors are the best in any system in this whole store. It's the most natural run system. Anyway, so I figured there's got to be good bacteria in there. So I made him take a turkey baster and suck me a bunch out and shoot it in a bag. And when I took it home and I sprinkled it all over my rocks, my tank was only about a month old at the time. I couldn't tell you if it did anything, but it made me feel good. So
I got my buddy Steve. He's local. Yeah, Steve, I've actually got a little. I actually have 4 KZ bulbs that are 24 inch that I actually accidentally ordered of the Super Blues, but I do have a little 24 inch 4 bulb unit. Um, it's a no name T5 unit, but in the future when I do another tank, I have a little 20 gallon. I'll probably set it up down the road for like a quarantine type setup when I get this other tank for doing transitional stuff. But yeah, we never know where it's going to go, man. Like I said, for me, I'm just grateful that I've got a chance to talk to guys like you and geek out and see their systems and do walkthroughs and see all these corals. I mean, it reminds me of a few years back when I had a shit ton of corals and I miss those days, but I don't. So I mean, it's all good. It's really good to
yeah,
see you doing it, and then living in through you vicariously. Kenny has got an amazing blue thumb. Yeah, he
yeah,
does, and so does his whole team there. And actually, that whole area,
yeah.
you got
Chris has got really beautiful tanks at his own house.
you've got other guys up there too. A good friend of mine that I talk to a couple times a week through text is Hudson Reefer. Do you know him? He's
So
Nick.
I've only seen him on the boards. You know, I may have met him at a show actually. I'm trying to think. I don't. We don't. Even if I met him, we don't really. We don't. We're not in touch. I don't think he's anywhere. He's probably 3 hours from me. He's in New Jersey, right? But I think
Yeah, yeah, I
he's
believe
all the way
so.
north, and I'm all the way south. So I think we're pretty far apart. You know. But I probably run into him at shows and don't even realize it.
Well, you're are you PA or are you?
No, no, I'm like closer to like where Atlantic City, New Jersey is.
Oh, okay,
I'm
I got
by
you.
the beach over there, and then
Oh, so you're some more coastal. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I'm like a couple miles from the beach over here.
Do you paddle out?
Dude, I lived on the beach for 22 years in New York, and I had enough, man. I'm just, Hurricane Sandy by us. I had no concrete. I had no utilities for like 2 months and 3 months. What am I saying? And like, I didn't surf, but a lot of the neighbors did. I just kind of every day I was on that beach, and then when the beach season was over, take my dogs out there for the winter months, and just it was peaceful. But I didn't want to pay the flood insurance anymore, so I didn't move on the water this time. Plus, I don't want to
I
flood
got
my
my buddy.
tanks.
We got a swell that's going to be showing up like Christmas Eve, and man, I haven't done a Christmas Day surf, and I can't remember how long. So I'm like, should I get up and do a dawn patrol? Get up and do like 6 in the morning, go and paddle
Man,
out right as the
you're
sun's
good.
coming
You're
out.
good, Perry. You surf for a long time or what?
Yeah, so I'm from Ormond Beach, Florida, Daytona area. Yeah, I'm born and raised, man. So I've been surfing since I was 8 years old.
Damn.
It's when I learned. Actually, one of my really good friends, man. We were in kindergarten together. We still both ride shortboards. He's a better surfer than me, but I mean, we won't give up our shortboards yet. You know, I'm at the point though where I'm about to like try to find a fish, something with a little bit more foam. But no, I enjoy it, man. I get a lot of I get a lot of ideas out surfing, a lot of information. That even relates to the reef that I try to bring back. Bring that information through observation of marine biology and just nature, being out there. Just like you, man, you've been on a boat, forever. You
Yeah.
understand this like no one else. You
Yeah.
know.
Dude, I lived on the water. I worked on a boat for 22 years, and now I turned my basement into some kind of ocean sanctuary down here. And
Yeah,
it's
there's something
part
that
of life, man.
happened. It was funny because my mom the other day, we're reminiscing, and we'll wrap this up here soon. But she mentioned, she goes, I don't know if you remember when you were a little boy, you used to catch. My grandmother had a beach wagon on Daytona Beach, and so she raised me. Like mom would be working, and I'd get dropped off to the beach every day, and grandma would put me to work on at the beach wagon, but my sister ended up doing the work. I'd be out playing in the water and catching little fish and building little tidal pools and stuff. And so it just happened that as a little boy,
Yeah, you're
it,
hooked.
it, it was something that was in me. And then I went to the Keys. Um, I must have been 6 years old and caught a little octopus and kept it in a bucket overnight. I let it go the next morning, but something about that experience of snorkeling and playing
Oh yeah.
in the Keys back then. This is in the 70s.
As a kid, the
And it,
impression ocean life me I mean, you're hooked. Like that's how it was with fishing for me. I went fishing off the dock when my dad had a boat when I was like 4 years old, and I've been fishing my whole life. It's like this it's just so fascinating. Like I have two sons. My younger son is hooked. He has his own reef tank. He loves fishing, loves the water. My oldest son hates it. He doesn't care. Like but it's amazing how like a child just gets like so addicted to everything with marine life. I see it over and over. I see like my friends' kids, and when I'm at an aquarium and I look in the kids' eyes, I'm like, wow, I know I could see their excitement just staring at like fish in a tank or jellyfish or coral tank or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely as I recall, that's where the passion started. And I was trying to figure out when I was a little boy, how could I keep these fish alive all day long? So I would dig these little tidal pools, and then the of course the tides would change, and then my tidal pool a wave would come in and wash all my fish out of my tidal pool, and so I'd have to go and catch more fish and then do another tidal pool. But I was trying to figure it out as a young boy. I never was. Look, I fished. I grew up fishing, but I was more trying to figure out how to keep the bait fish alive than I was to actually
I could have
using
used
the
you,
bait.
Perry. I could have used a guy like you on the boat. Keep the
I
bait alive.
was my granddad would say, "All right, Perry." He said, "Now figure out how to keep them damn." We called them. Oh God, what do we call them? Not mud minnows, but shiners. Here in Florida in the freshwater. This was on the St. Johns River, and my grandparents had a house on the St. Johns River, dude. And I've been fishing my whole entire life, but I always enjoyed throwing the cast net, and I enjoyed catching the fish and trying to keep them
Yeah,
alive. So it's almost like I was destined for this without even knowing that as a little boy, because I didn't eat the fish. I couldn't stand it. I threw them back. I never was really into that part of fishing. Never have been. Never really brought anything home. But it's an amazing hobby. Anything in the sea, anything near the sea is
yeah.
just
Dude, the sea
man.
life, like I mean, right before I left New York the last year, I was out on the water there. We had along the beaches, I mean, 30, 40, 50 feet of water, a ton of giant bluefin tuna came in there, and it was just like we're in 30 feet of water, and I'm like hooking these 6, 7, 800 pound fish, fighting them like on these giant reels, and it's just like wow, this is something that you travel to Canada or North Carolina for at certain times of the year to catch a migration, and it was in New York and New Jersey, and it happens every year now, but I'm so fucking burnt. Excuse my language. I'm so burnt out on it, man. It's like it's so much work keeping a boat and all the gear. It's like I had my fix, but to see that
Well, you were
life was
professionally doing it, right?
yeah. So I was guiding full time, and I was running other people's boats and doing all kinds of shit, tourism stuff on the water. I was all kinds. I had a business for like a long time there, doing all different things on the water. A lot of tourism stuff.
Man, you would love Ponce Inlet. That's where I surf here in Florida. So basically, we got a main inlet that goes into a river waterway that runs parallel to the beaches, and you have to cross to get over to the peninsula side. And but the inlet is Ponce Inlet is on the north side, and on the south side is New Smyrna. And so you probably have heard of New Smyrna Beach. It's the shark bite capital of the world. Literally, the shark bite capital of the world is
Jesus.
20 miles. I don't really surf that side. I surf the Ponce side. It's a long jetty on Ponce Inlet, and then it's a short jetty on New Smyrna. And a lot of people believe that's why it's so sharky, because the inlet is so short, it doesn't filter out all those big fish coming in and out. So they're all just dumping right out there onto the break right there in New Smyrna. So yeah, there's bites all day long there. Like every day there's a bite, like.
What's the shark of choice over there? What is it? Bull sharks? What is
I
it?
mean, so the bulls are the only thing I'm going to get out of the water for, man. Like if I know there's bulls out, I'm out, dude. I'm not messing with bull sharks. But black tips, you get a lot of hammerheads. You get them schooling once a year. They'll do the thing where they're migrating down south, and it's a pretty interesting phenomenon to see that, with schools and schools of hammerheads.
I've seen the hammerheads out by me as well. I've seen like a whole shitload of them out there. I mean, I couldn't see under the water, but you see them cruising the surface. There's hundreds of them. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, It New Smyrna is definitely sketchy, and it's like I won't surf there. It's a zoo anyway. Like it's like everybody who wants to be a professional surfer in the world in Central Florida, that's where they're at. And so you've got a million grommets out there, and they've got attitudes, and I just don't want to deal with that stuff. So I go to the Ponce side, which to me it actually has a better wave, to be honest with you. So more family oriented, that kind of thing. But no, man. Great talking to you as usual, bro.
Yeah, you too,
I hope
Perry.
you and your family have an amazing Christmas, man. I don't know what you're up to. I'm gonna be kind of low key here
Yeah,
myself.
same here, low key. The traveling by me during the Christmas season is just insane with the traffic. So, I think I have some family coming here, and that's it. So definitely laying low. I'll be reefing during Christmas. You know what I mean? Taking it easy.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's sharp. Well, Ponce is, like I said, Ponce isn't as gnarly, man. Like I don't surf New Smyrna just because there's too many people. It's just you go down there and you'll be like 2 hours in the water and you might catch two or three waves. That's not very much fun for me. But yeah, man. I'm just gonna kind of screw around with the tank.
Yeah.
Chill out, enjoy my daughter. She's coming over. Right now, I've got about my stepson lives with me full time here, but he's got a new girlfriend and he's over there for the next 4 or 5 days. So it's just me and my dogs, dude. So I'll be going to bed at 8 o'clock at night as usual. Nothing fancy here.
Sounds relaxing. Sounds relaxing.
Nah, man, ain't nothing special here, bro. I was able to get a bike ride in today. I was stoked. Get some exercise in today, and probably just I think the new year's coming, man. I've got some new goals, physical goals that I want to work on this year. At this time of year, man, I tend to put a couple pounds on, and I'm just a little bit upset with myself right now. I'm probably about 10 pounds overweight right now, and I'm just like not feeling it.
Can you can you
So
you hear me now?
yeah.
Sorry, I had a phone call. It's
Oh no,
weird.
no, it's all good.
Nothing you can't drop. So yeah, no, same thing here. I like to run outside and stuff, and this time of year the weather sucks here, so I don't do my running like I should. I have like you hear me? Oh, sorry, I got back, right? You hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. A voicemail. All right. Well, listen, I'll let you guys go. Perry,
Woo-hoo.
I want to thank everybody that stayed and listened to all this crap. I
No,
hope you
it's
pick
not
up.
crap, dude.
Well,
There's
that's
there's going to be
I
good
don't. Yeah,
information that comes through, and it always is.
yeah.
And I guarantee you, when and tomorrow sometime, or maybe even before I go to bed tonight, I'll be reeling this conversation. I don't go back and watch them, by the way, but I do replay them in my head, and I like to think about all the talking points, and it's there's a lot of takeaways. I appreciate your time. Most importantly, time is the most important commodity in this world. And for your time, I do appreciate it. And we'll catch back up after the holiday. Yeah, absolutely, brother. I appreciate you, man. Guys, just so you know, man, it's really cool when you can rap with a mentor of yours. You know, like it's cool shit. I appreciate your time, brother.
Oh, my dude, thanks for setting this up. I mean, you give me a place to geek out, so I'm grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do more of it, man. Like I said, I got Rebel Reef coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited
I
for that one.
Yeah, and I think next week, unless something pops up out of nowhere, and somebody like Lee or somebody's like, "Yeah, let's do a live this week." Other than that, I'll probably take Christmas, the day after Christmas off. But thank you for your time again, Rich. Listen, man, one more time, your corals, your craft, your skill, your attention to detail, your meticulous, passionate behavior is driving success. It's amazing to see. You should be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. Thank you for your
Thank
time, brother. I
thank you,
really do
Paul.
appreciate you.
Thank you. All right. Good night,
All right,
everybody.
man. Take care, everybody. Thank you for your time, everyone.